Welcome back to Brick Dynasty Live. Today's guest is the current Brickworld Master, an amazing MOC builder, and one of the hosts of one of the only Lego shows that consistently talks about Lego. Welcome, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Is that true? We mostly stick to Lego.
Yeah, more than any other show that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, even so, think outside the blocks. Sunday 7 Central here on YouTube on our channel Brickworld Events. We even though we do talk a lot of Lego, we also like some variety. So we don't just talk Lego news. We do MOCs and then we do a lot of silliness. We're big fans of giving a little bit of something for everyone, I guess. So
yeah, and occasionally there'll be some true crime mixed in.
sometimes, always Lego true crime though.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't done enough true crime episodes. I think we've only done 3, but it's hard. It's easy to find Lego crimes that are about stealing something. It's much harder to find Lego crimes that are more diverse than that. We found a couple good ones, but it's a little more difficult to find the one that Nicole had about the death cap mushrooms, for example.
Very Lego adjacent. About that for days.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Oh man, yeah, some priceless activities on that show.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you take me back a little bit to your Lego origins? Has it been a lifetime activity for you?
Yeah. So, I suppose it has. I think for a lot of people who've become AFOLs, they do start young. Some get pulled back into the hobby from a life event or whatever the case is. For me, I started very young. I was probably 5 or 6. And at the time, sort of what kept me really active in the hobby when I was younger is I was diagnosed with a bone disease. It's kind of a weird thing. Almost nobody has this, but it's called leg perthes. And basically what happens is the top of your hip joint loses oxygen or blood flow for some reason, and it begins to kind of erode. So kind of, instead of fitting like this, it's kind of like this. It's all worn away. So I had that when I was in kindergarten and first grade. And so I had I did some body casts and some walkers and some crutches. So because of that, they, really try to limit like your physical activity, no contact sports, no, I never really learned how to ice skate, unfortunately, living here in Minnesota, because those are sort of the years you learn to do that. That was the kind of thing I couldn't do. But in those years, I also think for me, maybe glory days to the extent that the big theme at the time, which is definitely where I came up through Lego, was pirates. So nowadays I'm more known as a castle and spaceship guy. But my first love was definitely pirates. And I was more of a blue coats and red coats guy than a pirates guy. But that was really where I found my first love of it. For the most part, like Perthes is short-term-ish, I guess. So, by the time I was in second grade, I wasn't, having to deal with body casts or wheelchairs or crutches or gait stretching apparatus or anything like that. But at the same time, my right leg is like a quarter inch shorter than my left leg still, and I don't have very great range of motion in it. So like tying my right shoe is difficult. Tying my left shoe is easy, but my right shoe is difficult because that's the side I had this on. So that sort of, I think, maybe extended, my early days in the hobby. It was because it was the kind of thing that I could do that didn't require running and jumping. You could do it sitting in the bed. Then, like everybody, I think I had the dark ages, like a lot of people do. And yeah, for a lot of people, their kids bring them back into it when they get older. For me, it was before that. After college, I went to law school. And law school is interesting, I tried to treat it very much like a 9-to-5 job. And so to try to keep myself focused, I decided I wasn't going to have any television. So I had no TV in my studio apartment, just the internet, which at the time they didn't have, a bunch of Netflix and that kind of stuff. So you could still find videos online, or maybe you'd have DVDs, and at the time computers still had DVD players in them. But I was trying very hard to not find myself doing that, so I had time to study. But because I was serious enough and spent a lot of time in the library, when I was at home with no TV, I had nothing to do. So I ended up spending a lot of time on the internet at Eurobricks.com. Still, the site still exists. It's still active. At the time that I was on there, which would have been about 2005 or 6, when I was really active in the early days, they had basically the largest pirate forum for discussion on all of the internet, and that kind of drew me back into to the hobby. So I did some digital building for pirates, and then when I finally was able to touch brick again, I started building pirate ships. And that sort of snowballed from there into everything else I got into doing.
So when you were able to touch bricks again, did you dive right into buying sets, or did you just kind of get stuff to tinker around with? Which way?
Yeah, so I really had kind of almost an overly focused collection, I guess. I did, as a kid, I had some castle, actually a fair amount of castle, and a little bit of space, but it was mostly pirate. And so when I was designing digitally, I was pretty much just using white and yellow and red, like the imperial colors from pirates, and that was it. Like, I didn't have anything else. So when I got back into it, it was pull out the old collection, which kind of nicely mirrored what I was attempting to build at the time as well. But then, as I expanded into other things, then I needed new brick. And yeah, I mean, now it's just, now it's out of control, of course. But, that's how it always starts, is one set here, Bricklink there, eBay. At the time, eBay was an option. People still buy things on eBay for individual parts. So, yeah, it snowballed quickly, I would say, when I was done with law school. So, and at this point, that's nearing 18 years ago. So, wow. It's hard to believe.
So you managed to finish law school before Lego took over?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I finished, and then I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with a friend. Got engaged and married after that. Then lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with my who's now my wife. So we did have one of the rooms had Lego in it. The other one was the room we slept in. They both had beds. Both rooms had beds, but one of them was primarily just to house Lego. So my wife got introduced to it very, very quickly. We had met in college, so she knew a little bit about it, but I didn't really, take off again on it until I was in law school. So by then she had already invested, 4 years in me or something. So she was kind of stuck. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And she's managed to humor it all of this time?
Yeah, she doesn't like sorting. She doesn't like building. She doesn't love the space that it takes up. But she tolerates it very well. When she comes down here to talk to me, she always ends up picking up a couple bricks and like fidgeting with them. But I can't get her to, build anything consistently. Sometimes people are manage to wear down their spouses enough to join them in the hobby. Mine doesn't seem interested in that. So
yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, at least you don't have to pay for double the sets, right? double the
true.
brick.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was, a number of sets when my kids were younger that I would buy, like thinking they'd get into it, and they haven't really been super into it. They generally only get interested in Lego around Brickworld time, where they want to build something to display. But outside of that, they've got their own things, and it doesn't tend to be Lego. So it's mostly sports for my son, and some art stuff, drawing, and whatever else for my daughter. But my son is just sports, sports, sports all the time. So even when he plays video games, it's sports video games. That's all he thinks about.
Wow.
So yeah,
Do they both come with you to Brickworld?
they do. I'm not sure how many they've missed that I've just gone without them. It is pretty much regular now that they always come with, which is sort of a blessing and a curse. My kids are to the age where they can kind of do their own thing if they want to some extent, but they always want me to do stuff with them while I'm there. And that's great. But at the same time, it's like I've got to finish setting up. I've got these 3 events that I want to attend or whatever. So there's always a balance, and that's parenting. I guess I'm not going to pretend like there aren't other things that are like that. But some years I'm like, it'd be great if I could come by myself, but then I'd be in the hall till 4 a.m. and I wouldn't sleep at all, and it'd be a different sort of fun, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Do you go? Well, word it a little differently. How many of the Brickworld events do you go to?
I only tend to go now to Chicago. Kind of the issue is being where I am in Minnesota. Most of the other Brickworld shows are east of Lake Michigan, I guess, past Chicago. And so anytime I have to travel past Chicago, I'm going from a 5.5, 6 hour drive from here to Chicago to 9, 10, 11, kind of the area where now you've got to stop and stay overnight somewhere or whatever the case is. For a number of years, Brickworld did a show in Milwaukee. I almost always made it to that show. That show has not been produced or put on for the last several years, though it might come back in 2027. That's not official yet, but it might. So I mostly do Chicago. I have been now to a total, I believe, of 10 Brickworld Chicago shows.
Wow.
So my first one was in 2012. That year, the big reason I went is ZCerberus was doing a pirate display. And so they contacted me and said, hey, you've got a bunch of pirate stuff. Wouldn't you love to come and display at Brickworld Chicago? And I was like, sure, I guess I'll give it a try, and I'd never been. My wife and I were married in 2010, so she came with me, a bit of a, I don't know, culture shock to her to some extent. Like, not like she didn't know it was, Lego Nerd Holiday, but it still was a Lego Nerd Holiday. So,
Yep.
So she came with me, and then I told her, after we had gone, it was a fun time. I got to meet some people that I knew online, that are now bigger in the community. Actually, that first year, my table was right next to Dave Coletta's, who ended up being on Lego Masters, and I was right across from Toro Lug, so it was my first introduction to Simon Liu. So I had I knew Simon a little from Eurobricks before that, but my first time meeting him in person. So there's a number of people that I met that first year, and so I told my wife, I want to be able to come back, and she was at the point there where she was saying, we need to get on having a family, right? She's like, it's time. We've been married for a couple years. We've been together for so much longer. That's what we need to start working on. I said, well, can we try to time it so that our kid's not born in June and I can go to Brickworld? And she said, yeah, we can do that. So after the first couple months, she said, what if we have problems getting getting pregnant and we never have a baby, and it becomes a big thing. So I'm like, fine, if it happens, it happens. What do you know? My son was born first day of Brickworld 2013.
Oh
So we
no.
missed we missed Brickworld 2013 and 2014 because I had my son. So now his birthday falls usually during the week of Brickworld, either right before or during. So it's kind of special when he comes with. We usually try to do something up there, like go to medieval times or whatever 12-year-olds like. So yeah, we we kind of failed on that whole not during Brickworld front, and I missed a few years at the beginning. So the first year I went, they were in the Weston Hotel in Wheeling, Illinois, and it was a very different setup than what's now become Brickworld. So at that time they had 3 ballrooms, so they're much smaller. They had ugly carpet, bad lighting, all that stuff, plastic stanchions. So it was a very different feel, not quite as refined as the experience has become when we're at the Renaissance with the big hall and the metal stanchions and the just one giant hall. And actually now it's in 2 halls. But at the time it was one giant hall, which was a big adjustment for us. So yeah, it was very interesting to go from Wheeling one year and then next year it's their second or third year at the new spot. So they had already kind of settled in and it was all new to me. So very, very fun to be able to go pretty much every year since 2014 now. So uh, with the COVID years in there, I believe this year was my 10th. So
That's incredible.
yeah.
Now, how does that impact the way you look at Lego? Does that make you more excited to keep going and you see new things and kind of rejuvenates you to get you through the next year? Or
Yeah.
is it just what it is? That's all.
Yeah. I do think it is for me at least inspiring to go to conventions, and of course, there are other conventions. It's not just Brickworld, but that, of course, is the one that my friends are at. That's the one that's the largest one within driving distance. So there's a number of reasons why it appeals in general, but uh, yeah, I've definitely gone to a Brickworld show and been inspired by something and have like taken on an entire year building something way outside my norm, just because there's some particular thing that I really liked. So one of my first years back after my son was born was probably 2014. They had done one of the, I think it was Torolug, had done a classic neoclassic space build, and they had a big platform of some type and a bunch of little space fighters on it. There was one little space fighter that I saw in there that I loved. It wasn't the biggest one, it wasn't the most complex. I just loved the shape of it. And at the time, since my son was young, I was like, well, I can't be down in the Lego room all the time. He's, 1.5 or 2 or whatever he was at the time. So I need to find a way to be in the living room where he tended to live, so I can keep an eye on him and still, participate in my own hobby to the extent I can. And I thought, well, neoclassic space, they basically just have gray, blue, and some trans yellow. I can basically just bring up those bricks and I can build without having to move my whole collection. So ended up taking like a year and a half, 2 years where I just built classic space fighters over and over and over and classic space bases over and over and over. So, that was one of the things that was really inspiring about going one year. I think the other big thing that really uh, has been an influence, of course, is the first year I went in 2012. As I mentioned, I went because they were doing a Pirates collaborative. So one of the things about conventions that's always exciting, or to see the collaborative builds between, however many builders. And it doesn't always have to be as enormous as New Hashima was, if you were there for that. That was an event a couple years ago where I don't even know, 40 builders, something like that, all
Wow.
discussed online and brought this sort of neo-futuristic, very cyberpunk looking
Okay.
city. And it was 7 feet tall and just enormous. One of the most elaborate things I've ever seen. It was crazy at night. They had display boards that had video screens integrated into them and all kinds of stuff. So you can see that kind of thing, or you can find much smaller collaborative builds between 4 or 5 people that can build something larger and more spectacular than anyone can on their own. And sometimes the ideas are not just, oh, we're going to build pirates. Sometimes they're more ridiculous than that. A couple of years ago, Eurobricks, the group I build with, we did a Scala Mystery Mansion. And Scala was like a Barbie doll sized figure that Lego did. It was a little smaller than that, but we did Scala scale. So we all built rooms for this murder mystery mansion. And it was a lot of fun. It's the kind of thing that really inspires you to see what your friends come up with and be able to all put it together and smile when it's done, and really feel a sense of accomplishment and that kind of stuff.
So have you brought builds every year?
Yes. Yeah. So 2012, I would say I definitely didn't know how much space to request. It was all new to me. So I was like, oh, one table will be enough. And I had a bunch of, I was building for the collaborative, but then I also was bringing some castle stuff. At that point, I had started a little bit into castle. And so this one table was just crammed to the gills, it was double stacked. And just, it was sloppy. I definitely needed, 3 tables or 2.5 tables, and I had one.
Oh man.
So it takes some adjustment to figure that out, and I always end up bringing like one more thing than I can fit, just because I'm always nervous that I'm not going to fill the tables. Like, I don't know if that's a personality flaw I have, but I always end up with one extra thing. So I always end up leaving something under the table, but it's fine. So usually the thing that I threw together last minute anyway and probably shouldn't have been at the show. So who knows?
Now, how long did it take you before you jumped into mock building, like serious mock building, not just, I'm just going to kind of edit an existing build?
Yeah, I started doing it fairly young. I think one of the advantages, if you did start way back in the 80s and 90s, is there were less IPs, obviously, but because of that, pretty much all of the builds, all the boxes, all the instructions, all had alternate builds of some variety on the box. So they were really encouraging a lot of that. Lego's still bringing that back to a large extent with like the creator series, where they'll do 3 sets of instructions for a build. They also toyed with doing other B models that were only available online, things like that. But now, of course, Read Brickable exists. So there's another way people can take the sets or the parts from the set that they have and build something new if they want to. So, because of where I started, I was always into it. At that time, it was much harder to acquire individual pieces, though, when you're in the 80s and 90s, because they didn't have Bricklink yet. There was some eBay around in the mid 90s, but for the most part, you were kind of limited to your collection. You couldn't order, 1,000 1x1 round bricks or whatever like you can now. there wasn't a pick a brick wall, at the Lego store if you had a Lego store, which almost nobody did. So I guess it forced a bit of creativity if you wanted to not just build but play with your Lego, which I definitely did when I was younger. Kind of laugh about it now because I had some, Black Falcon figures or whatever that are all scratched up, all the paint's missing on them. Now you have to spend like $8 to buy a Black Falcon torso of that era, and I was, chewing on them and playing with them in the sandbox because they were toys. I mean, that's what they were.
Yep.
So
technically, they're still toys.
They still are. Yes, I guess that's true, but they don't tend to actually sword fight when I put them on the builds anymore. They just kind of stand
there.
Yeah. Maybe that's my bad. I don't know. I would say though, when I got back into building after law school, one of the things that really pushed me forward is Eurobricks had, back to Eurobricks again, it's all Eurobricks on this show. We had something called the Guilds of Historica, which is like an online role-playing, world-building type thing that we started doing that had different factions, and we'd create lore and story with whatever we were building. And so kind of having projects or deadlines or competitions for Guilds of Historica really forced me to evolve how I was building, like very, very quickly. And you see the first thing you built for the guilds and then the last thing you built for the guilds, and for pretty much everybody it was a journey of discovery where people would just rapidly get so much better at building, just because that's, they were kind of forced to do it and forced to see what everyone else was doing too, and some level of competitive spirit to try to outbuild somebody, or at least have a good showing. So it definitely was a kick in the pants to keep building and to improve doing the guild stuff. So
do you think storytelling helped develop your builds?
Yeah, I think it does. If you have some sense of a story, even if it's kind of boring, but even if it's this person has journeyed a long way to, see their long lost love, or to retrieve an item, or to deliver a letter, or whatever the case is, it adds story, which is a big element, and it can also potentially shape landscaping or the season or the scene, and kind of give it a character that it might not have if it's just sort of, it's just there, I guess, for lack of a better term. So yeah, I definitely think that helped. For the other thing with the guilds is because I had become so invested in it, I ended up leading one of the guilds for some portion of time. And while I was doing that, I was building for one of the guilds. It was sort of the forest, guild, the very Robin Hood, Rohan type guild. But they needed a leader for a different guild, which was in the Darklands, vampires and werewolves and that kind of thing.
Ooh.
Wasn't necessarily my build style, but I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I ended up doing, a whole series of builds and a completely different style and completely different color palette, so I could sort of enter this other world. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So it wasn't necessarily my aesthetic, but at the same time, it was, learning a lot of new techniques and all that stuff. And I really did enjoy it.
You had to incorporate black.
Yeah, a lot of black and very dark gray. Yeah, very Batman.
Yep.
In the way to do it. Yeah, so black and dark red. That kind of lots of spikes. Spikes and skeletons. That's the kind of stuff you need. So
fun.
Yeah.
So if you were doing space and castle and all of that, and around those times, you were there for the transition. the switch of the grays. How did you feel about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So in law school, because I started working, I got a decent tax refund. I bought a bike with the tax refund. Um, and then I had some money left over. And so I said, what's really making me interested is the Star Destroyer, the first UCS Star Destroyer. And the first UCS Star Destroyer was right at the switch point between the two.
Oh,
So actually, that first UCS Star Destroyer, there's an old gray version, there's a new gray version, and then there's some in between where you kind of got a mix. So a few of the parts
wow.
were printed in the new color, and a lot of the other ones were in the old one. I have an old gray version, and though they switched the light bluish gray out, I think they kept the dark gray for a little while still. But that particular set, I think there are variants. If you look it up on Bricklink, it probably lists all the different parts for being in both colors for alternate builds, depending on which version you got. So yeah, I was there for that. I definitely have far more light bluish gray now than old gray. A lot of my old gray are large panels. That's what castles were built out of in the 80s and 90s. So I don't mind that it's switched. In fact, I think I like light bluish gray a little better in terms of pure color. The old gray would fade a little and it would yellow more. Maybe it was just, again, because it was a toy and I left out in the sun. I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely there for that. The other thing that surprised me was I got some 2006 or 2007 must have been when the original Vikings line came out.
Ooh.
And that was like, heaven for me. It was kind of pirates meets castle, right? I mean, that's what Vikings are. But at the time, they were only offering them in Europe. Then someone pointed out, hey, people in America love historic themes too. Toys R Us ended up carrying the Vikings eventually. So I bought a bunch of Viking sets, and they had opened a Lego store at the Mall of America here in Minnesota. So I went down and I bought some parts. They had grab bags and other things at the time at the store, and I ended up getting some brown big wedge plates and stuff to make some catapults or whatever for the Vikings, and they were the old brown versus the reddish brown. So it was interesting because up until that point I hadn't really known there was a switch, and then it was very stark. You could tell the browns in particular. You can tell some with the light gray and the light bluish gray. They're closer in shade than, say, the reddish brown and the brown were. So I think that was the first time I really noticed was how much different the reddish brown was in the Viking line. So yeah, I've got some old brown, I've got some old gray, but I definitely have far more of the newer colors. So
Do you still build with the older colors? Or are they just kind of sentimental pieces now?
yeah, for the most part, there are a few pieces that I will still use. I suppose too sometimes it helps with color variation. You know, it's something with color variation, but a lot of my old gray was heavily played. So to that extent, it's mostly segregated. A lot of the wall panels have chips. That stuff, I guess, to some extent. Like I said, it could have a separate texture. I tend to use in some large 2 gallons of blocks. So it's kind of interesting because they've really only done that heavily color change, sort of some of the colors that I tend to build with. So the dark gray, the light gray, and the reddish brown. And those are sort of the three main candidates that have gone through a major color change. So there are other shades that have other weird color histories. They're now doing a newer reddish brown that's supposed to be less brittle. I think it looks slightly different, but I don't have much of that yet. So I guess we'll see if it's actually different.
Are they renaming that, or are they just updating the
color? I don't think so.
Okay.
So my understanding is that the new brown was first introduced in the Cullen House from Twilight. I think if I check right, like it's just all listed as reddish brown still. But a lot of people say it kind of has a dusty or milky kind of color or sheen to it. I haven't really noticed much, but apparently it's supposed to be less brittle, which I will take because I've broken a lot of reddish brown in my day.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is, but I've got a bin around here somewhere that's just full of broken plates. So.
Oh. Yeah.
Reddish brown.
Some of those things get sharp.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I know I have it around here because it's a relatively large bin or bag. But yeah, taking off like a 4x8 plate and having it snap in half. Yeah, it's got 2 super jagged edges on it. Let's see what's right here. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so here's reddish brown, and so here this one's not too bad, but you can see the tile's broken, and then the corners on this plate are broken.
Yep.
I saw one in here that was super sharp. Here it is. This is the one you don't want to step on.
Oof.
Yeah, so look at that. So, oh, here, look at this brick. Oof. That was a 2x4 at one point.
Wow. Man.
That may have been a 2x2 looking at the very bottom, but still a 2x brick, and it snapped.
So what do you do with that stuff?
Right now it's just in this bag here, but I feel like I could use it for something. I don't know what yet, but it does feel like a creative opportunity to do something with it. I just haven't come up with it yet.
It's cheaper to save it than to break something because you need it later, right?
I mean, if you build enough things in reddish brown, you don't have to intentionally break it. It'll just happen.
Fair enough.
Pull it off with, even gently with a brick separator, and they snap. So.
Yeah. I think it was the Solar Sailor. Is that the one? Count Dooku's Solar Sailor there.
Could be,
yeah. Yeah, I was taking that apart, and you'd be a little lazy sometimes. You put your fingernail under there, and it cracked, and I got a nice Lego splinter right up under the fingernail.
Ouch.
Swore I'd never do that again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you do it again anyway. But
yeah. Well, at least I've stopped
cautious
using
after
teeth,
that.
right? You get a little older, you stop doing that at least.
Yep. Yeah.
With the chew marks in them still, and I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, teeth marks are rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started building, then did that become competitive, or was that more just storytelling, playful?
I mean,
like actually like competition with prizes, not like personally competitive.
There was, it was certainly personally competitive. I guess I don't tend to build for competitions for a specific prize. I more do it, to participate, to test myself. There's been a couple times where I've participated in things and won and then never received the prize. Like they just never ship it.
Oh man,
that happens too. In the guilds of Historica, when I was doing the castle stuff, there was sort of a general competition. There was occasionally prizes, but they weren't anything extravagant. Eurobricks would occasionally get prize pools and that kind of thing. But after I'd sort of transitioned into leading one of the guilds, the idea of winning a prize kind of felt like a conflict and kind of went out the window. I suppose the only time that I'm sort of building in that mode would be for Brickworld, since they've got, I don't know how many categories these days. Lots of categories where you can get nominated in. And I don't keep most of these nearby, but I was rearranging my shelves, so I have a couple around here. So if you get nominated for a various award, you get a little red brick like this. So this one says 2016 Best Large Building nominee. And then if I think they nominate 5 builds in each category, and if you win, you get one of these. It's like a 1x2. So this was for best group layout in 2016. I don't remember what we did in 2016, but must have been fun. So kind of what's interesting about that, I guess, is you don't necessarily know which categories your builds will be put in. You might know what the categories are in general beforehand. I've never built something specifically to fill a category, for example, that's, not heavily participated in or anything. I've never been like, I'm going to build a spaceship this year, because last year when I went, nobody built a spaceship. I'll get a nomination for that for sure. It's usually something I want to build. And I don't necessarily build it to win, but, it's nice if you get some recognition. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of how it's always gone for me. So, and over time, when you start becoming, more skilled at it and more known, then people start, I guess, taking more notice. One thing we talk about on our show, Think Outside the Blocks, I'm not a super extrovert. I'm very introverted. It's very strange for me to spend a lot of time talking about myself, especially with people I don't know, right? I do it still, right? And I find some joy in it still too, but it's not like my natural state to be doing that. So it's always very interesting to sort of, it's almost out of body, like when you're there and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I love what you built," and you're just like, "Thank you," but I don't know how to respond to that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, are you sure? Haven't you seen all the other cool stuff here? Yeah. So that's always been kind of a thing for me for sure. It's kind of feeling like, oh, I was nominated for something. Like, well, is it because I've just been here 9 times now, or is it because people actually like what I built? Just tired of me bringing castles. They felt like they had to nominate it this time or something. I don't know. So yeah, I never build 2 win categories, but I tend to build in the categories I like, and sometimes you get a nomination. So
when you get nominated, do you go and check out the competition?
Sometimes I do, but at the same time, you will find different people. There's kind of two issues with that for me. First is they'll always discount what you built to some degree, and I don't know why, but I always do. Maybe because, like I was telling you in the green room, like if I'm searching for inspiration and I type in like fantasy castle, right, and I'm scrolling through a pile of Flickr images or a pile of Google search images, what usually catches my eye and I like do a double take is something I built. And like in the moment, I find a lot of problems with it, or there's things I don't like about it. But if I've stepped away from it for a while and then it like comes up on a feed, I'm like drawn to it. So, I think you tend to discount your own stuff in the moment, and then you just never know what people are going to like. They might think, you might think, oh, that castle is gigantic and beautiful, but other people are going to say it's another gray castle, right? I'm gonna go pick the one that's got the purple roof because it's more interesting. And is it the most technically, you know, brilliant build? Maybe not, but that doesn't mean, you know, people aren't gonna like that one. So sometimes I look. I would never say that I've gone and looked and been like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna win. I have never had that reaction. Um, I've definitely had the opposite reaction where I've seen the other things and said, oh, it was nice to be nominated. You know, see you next year. But yeah, if I guess I feel maybe if I'm like I'm definitely going to lose. That's usually correct. If I don't think I'm going to win, but I'm not like I'm definitely going to lose, then I have a chance. Right? That's how it always tends to work out. I don't know.
Okay.
So who knows? But there are a lot of great builders. But yeah, I think it's tends to be a I like what someone else did more than what I did because I've been staring at it for 4 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting when you kind of get the opposite side when someone comes up to you who's also nominated in a category, especially if you know them or you've gotten to know them. And sometimes even if you don't, and they will come up to one of your friends and be like, "Man, whoever built that castle are kicking my ass this year." Like you don't think that yourself. You hear someone else say it.
Yeah, that's gonna feel good.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah, occasionally the other thing that I found after you've done a lot of building is you will start to recognize other people's designs or other people's styles. And occasionally, a couple times this happened. I've gone to Brickworld and I've seen something like that I've admired online, and I'll meet the creator and be like, "Oh, I love your stuff. I saw this 2 years ago on Flickr or last year, and I absolutely loved it." And then they say, "Oh, what did you bring?" And then you either tell them or you introduce yourself, and they'll be, like, "Oh, I know yours too, and I love this thing that you built 2 years ago." So that's kind of a big, big geek out moment where this guy that you've admired online for some creations got the same reaction as something you built. So, it's interesting to kind of get that. And I think for me, it's more I get more excited about that than winning, I guess, an award.
Yeah. Now, do you pay attention to what are they called? New Elementary or places like that? Watch out
Not
for new arts.
religiously, but I do go there sometimes. I do tend to look at some of the blog sites. Same thing to be inspired. Um, New Elementary is definitely a good site. It's definitely interesting. Normally, it's to learn about a new element more so than anything else, especially if you actually notice that it's new and then you want to find out about it. Um, I definitely don't. I definitely don't check it regularly. It's not an everyday look. I might look at Brothers Brick every day. I might look at Brick Nerd every day. I don't necessarily look at New Elementary every day. But when a new wave of sets comes out, then I'll tend to head over there and find out some interesting facts about a new piece for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very well done site.
Yeah, I love how they break down, it's what curves match existing elements and things like that. And
Yep.
that's always really interesting to me. And then you see basic things that are coming out that, should have been there all along, like it's a 1x4 cheese slope.
Yep.
Nice to see those now, things like that.
This piece here. This is the one that I wanted forever and ever, and they finally made it. It was the 1x1 snot piece with studs on adjacent sides.
Okay.
Like, how long did I wait for this? Forever before they finally made it. Now I have a ridiculous number, but for the longest time they only had them on one side or opposing sides. And I'm like, I want them on adjacent sides, and now they finally did it. So that piece has been out for a little while now, but there were years before it finally made its way out there.
The adjacent sides is in colors. Is tan the only color they make those in? I feel like I have a million of them in tan for some reason.
Oh, they make them in quite a few colors. I have some in green, sand green, and I know I have some in light blue. So yeah, they're more popular now, or they're becoming more popular now. I bet there's still a bunch of colors where there aren't any, but yeah, they're definitely starting to use that piece a lot more. I've got a ridiculous number in light bluish gray, and quite a few in reddish brown. That's color palette choice, not necessarily Lego production choice.
Yeah. Do you find yourself buying more through, is it Bricklink and Pick-a-Brick than you do buying sets now?
Probably. I've got a crazy backlog, no question, and I've definitely bought a number of things on clearance. I know somebody's got an app that'll help you find things on deals, right?
Oh yeah.
But I definitely end up with sets that are on clearance in particular that I'll probably never crack open, and I'm just like, oh, it's such a good deal, I gotta get it. And occasionally, when you're getting towards the end of your Brickworld run and you're on the last build and you just need one more, 1x2 in light bluish gray, and you've exhausted your resources somehow, well, I'll go on Bricklink and there's 15 in the set that I definitely have in my backlog. I think what's still nice about buying sets, even if you do spend a lot of time on Bricklink or on Pick-a-Brick, and I do, is on Pick-a-Brick and Bricklink, I'll buy a piece I know I use a lot. But of course, in sets, you're going to get parts that you're not necessarily eyeballing that you find uses for later. And so that's kind of, helps for the variety and for filling out a build as opposed to just building gray walls all the time, right? So, I definitely do both. I'm not one over the other, but yeah, I think probably on balance I end up spending more on sets, but only because they've become so much more massive and expensive.
Yeah.
I probably put in more orders for Pick-a-Brick, but it's $20 here, $30 there, not $330, which is what all the direct to consumer sets seem to be now. So
Yep. Yeah. Have you figured any good tricks for Pick-a-Brick online?
Yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like it's getting worse.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem with Pick-a-Brick, for example, I wanted some green wedge plates, and they only are on the left wedge plate. They don't have the right wedge plate on Pick-a-Brick. So like things like that'll drive me crazy. The other thing that I find now too, of course, the colors. I am more aligned with the Brick Link colors than I am the Lego colors. Because I struggle to think of green as dark green in Lego. I'm like, that's not dark green, right? It's just green.
Yeah.
Or bright blue, or whatever other weird colors. Tan is some weird color, and dark tan is brick yellow or something. I mean, they've got the most ridiculous names.
Yeah.
So part of it is, knowing your translation layer to get the right color. And then I suppose the other thing too, obviously, is the best sellers you get a lot faster. If I know I need a specific part, I'll still order it, even if it's not a bestseller. But then I tend to forget about it because it takes 3 weeks to get here or whatever. And then all of a sudden I'll get an envelope from Lego, and I'll be like, "Well, what's in here?" Like I won't remember at all. That just happened to me today. My wife's like, "We haven't checked the mail in like a week," and so she goes, "Hey, you had a Lego package in there." I'm like, "I did." So I opened it up, and it was parts for trees. because I build a lot of trees. And I was like, I had no idea this had not arrived. So must not have really needed them. I don't know.
Yeah. It's exciting when those show up. I got a bag of Trojan helmets like a week or two ago. And it was like 40, whatever they were, black and red Trojan helmets. It's like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
No recollection that I ordered them, but cool.
Yeah. Somewhere I have a little pile of Wolfpack torsos from the medieval market village.
Yep.
I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere on my desk of shame over here. But yeah, I ordered like 20 of those or 30 of those. I don't remember. But same thing. They weren't bestsellers at the time, so I ordered them and they were backlogged for like a month and a half or something. When they finally came, it was like Christmas.
Yep.
And still, I've used 2 of them. Of the 30 I've ordered, I've only used like 2 of the Darks. So.
Yeah.
Shame on me, but that's just kind of how it goes.
Now, unless it's something pressing, do you try to wait for double points, GWP, whatever, try to mix it all in?
Yeah, I do to some extent. GWPs are definitely becoming Lego's, evil trick.
Yep, it's working.
Yeah, and they occasionally will have a really good GWP, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to order 2 things and split the order so I get 2 of them." Yeah. So it occasionally becomes a reason to do it, but there are a lot of sets that I'll definitely wait on because I know they'll either hit discount, at Target even, or Lego eventually even as well, or Walmart. Kind of depends. Some sets you just kind of get the sense like that's a $20 set now. I'm gonna be able to buy that for $5.74 at Walmart someday. So yeah, there's definitely some things that I can wait on. When the Wicket first came out and he was $130, I'm like, no, this is $100 sculpture. It'll hit $100 on Target, in 3 months. I think it was like 2 weeks later they already had it like $20 off or something.
No, that one's the same size as Chopper and R2, isn't it?
He's similar in size, yeah. I think he was part wise. I want to say he was right around 1,000-ish.
Okay.
But yeah, it was definitely like, oh, he feels like $100. Yeah. But he's 130 now in the new Lego realm.
130, which is more than 3PO, I believe.
Yeah,
His 3PO is 120.
That was pretty crazy. But yeah. So.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I kind of like those big statue figures. They're kind of cool, but paying 130 for Wicket, I was like, nah, I can wait. So definitely,
Yeah.
it's there's definitely some advantages to being patient, to looking around, to checking the stocking sites, to checking the Brick Dynasty app, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you got out there, because yeah, there are definitely deals to be had if you don't need it right away. And hey, I've got a closet of shame. We share that on our show anytime we have a new guest on. I'm not starving for sets to build, so I can probably wait.
Yep.
Now people make big deals out of what's retiring, so you even know when something's retiring. And sometimes they go on discount right before they retire too, to clear out the old stock.
Yeah. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? The sale on Shop at Home was all retiring sets.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's nice about that too is sometimes the local stores will match. Amazon will match what the Lego price is. You don't even have to ask them to; they just automatically will.
Yeah.
Like, it's the medieval town square is 183 on Lego. Well, we'll make it 183 on Amazon too.
Yeah. They got to put the Jazz Club on sale again. That has seen very few discounts.
Yeah, I mean the modulars, they hold value so much better than most of the other sets that they're slower on those a lot of times to put them up for sale. Outside of maybe the the boutique hotel. That's all right. personal feelings on that one. I don't know.
Which one was it? Oh, I had Jen Builds was on 2 weeks ago, and she was talking about building all of the modulars. And she was the first person I've ever heard talk about what a horrible build Green Grocer was. And I haven't built that one, but she was like, "Oh yeah," she was just very upset. Partially because it was so expensive. I think you expect more out of it, I guess, but it's only expensive because of the colors.
Yeah, they're that's the other interesting thing that that happens. For the most part, I've luckily I was on the modulars early, so I've tended to be able to get them at retail. If you try to buy the backlog now, you are in for some pain.
Yeah, you got to refinance your house.
Yeah, Green Grocer. I believe I got Green Grocer from my parents for Christmas or something, or my birthday.
Awesome.
So yeah, I didn't have to pay some inflated price. The only one that I didn't buy at retail was that stupid Market Street, because that was a factory set, and I was like, "Is this really even a modular?" Because at the time they had this Lego factory. I guess it was sort of Ideas or Bricklink Designer before either of those existed. And they didn't have very many of these factory sets, but they were fan designed models that they sold. And yeah, one of them was this modular Market Street. So I ended up doing, I think, what a lot of people end up doing with that stupid one. And I bought the parts on Bricklink. And it
was very expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive. And there were a couple of specific parts that, of course, were limited or only in that set, and 2 others or whatever that were just crazy expensive. Luckily, I had a lot of light blue bricks, and I had a lot of light windows already. But yeah, there's a dark blue arch that's in that one. I think that price has gone down because it's been a couple other sets since then. But then they also have these white hoses for the balconies, and they're crazy expensive on Bricklink.
Yep. So, yeah, and they discolor very easily.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing we were laughing about was the other thing now that's going to be maybe a little less now that they've done this dynamic ordering thing, but the Bricklink designer sets, they don't have the mass market appeal or recognition of a mainstream Lego, but I would say value-wise, they're very good, like priced apart. The instructions aren't as good as a Lego set is, right? Because it's done by a fan, but they're not necessarily bad either. But yeah, they definitely use pieces that aren't in quantity in sets, and you end up, if you try to Bricklink one, spending quite a bit of money to recreate it. So I was laughing at Castle in the Forest because they have a sticker sheet. So you can go out and buy the sticker sheet, which only has 4 stickers on it or something, for $80 or $90.
What?
Yeah, it's something crazy. Wow. There, hardly anyone are selling them, but 4 stickers on there that you need if you want to build authentic. Yeah. So yeah, the sticker sheet's $80. Something crazy like that.
So, that is bananas.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's how I would save money, because unless it's really necessary and I really like the sticker, I don't even bother.
Yeah. They're definitely not, in this case, super necessary. So,
okay.
Yeah, you could definitely get away with building that one without the stickers. One set of stickers is for the for like a stag head shield, and they have a Forceman stag head shield. The stag looks a little different, but at the time it wasn't in production, so they gave you a blank gray shield and you had to put a sticker on it. So, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. They definitely, if it had been produced 2 years later and they were making that stag shield again, they would have just used the stag shield. Instead, you got to pay $80 to get a sticker for it. So,
yeah, and what are those? Those shields are 85 cents or something.
Yeah. they're not expensive. They're not overly expensive. So I guess the other major place to get Lego now is all the bricks and minifigs that are popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And we waited a long time in Minnesota to get any, and now we've got like 8 in the Twin Cities. So
wow.
yeah, they basically came in overnight, and just now they're everywhere. Not on every corner, but they're in every quadrant of the city at least. So that's been kind of fun. I've gotten a few old sets. I've sold stuff to them. You do much better selling on Bricklink yourself than selling them there. But it's obviously also not having, it's just like a pawn shop, I guess, not having to deal with finding the buyer yourself.
Yeah.
If you take store credit, you can get, 65% of the Bricklink value or something. So the minifigs, I think you might do better getting rid of minifigs than sets, quite honestly. So, but then they've got the brick pit there, where it's like pick a brick, but for every and any part. But it's very much a crapshoot as to what's going to be there. At the same time, if I go to the Lego store and go to their pick a brick wall, they've got 25 molds or whatever, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the brick pit at Bricks and Minifigs, I could find almost anything if I look hard enough. I can't find 20 of everything, but I can find 1 or 2 of anything. So it's definitely another thing that's out there now too for Lego fans.
Yeah, I think the pab wall would probably be better for like transparents and panels and things like that.
Yep.
And bricks and minifigs is probably good for everything else. Things you don't care about, a couple of scuffs, a little blemish here and there.
Yeah. Well, and if you have an honest Bricklink seller, you can get a nice quantity of things in good shape too. Yeah. It may take a couple days to get it, but I've tended to have pretty good luck. So
yeah, those transparents are hard.
Yeah, people leave reviews, and the good stores are in the 97, 98, 99% almost all the time. So it's not super hard to find the good stores.
Yep. Knock on wood, we're still sitting at 100%, but we're very new, so I won't pat myself on the back too hard there.
Yeah, you'll always find somebody who will be like, who'll just give you a neutral. They'll be like, came as expected, neutral. I'm like,
yep.
Fast shipping, neutral. I'm like, hey, what?
Yeah. Those things kill me. We got our first 1-star review on the app recently. They left no feedback as to why, and they're still subscribing.
Yeah.
Give me feedback. Things like that bother me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather somebody tell me I suck and here's why than just say nothing. I don't know. Strange. We can't improve unless we know what the issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bricklink's tricky. You have, on the seller side, you have a lot of things to contend with. It's shipping. You got to trust all your carriers to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Depending on where it's going, you have to trust the neighbors to do the right thing if it doesn't fit in a mailbox.
Yeah, you got to keep
always strange.
Inventory.
Yep.
Be able to find the parts for picking them. Yeah.
That poses its challenges for sure.
Yeah. Got to have the space that you can sort everything out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you got to keep the kids from stealing all your stuff.
Yeah, I bought 55 of this set. I'll just add it to my inventory. Okay, well, now you got to sort it all.
Yep.
You got to make sure that you keep the pearl silver and the pearl dark silver, separate. You don't want to send somebody the wrong color item. So, yeah.
Oh, look at this. We have a super chat here. Okay, you're going to have to read this one so you can pronounce that word properly. Can you read that? Can you see that?
Sister has leg perthes that became extreme bone and tissue necrosis. She loves Lego. Has been a good distraction from her pain and suffering. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Yeah. So for me, the way that this presented, so it's in my right leg. So if you see me limping around at Brickworld, I'm probably not actually limping. Just I do have a leg that's slightly shorter than the other. And if you see I'm not standing straight up, it's not because I'm drunk. It's because one leg shorter than the other. But I had a lot of pain in my knee. So usually it doesn't necessarily present in your hip, it presents somewhere else. And I was like crawling down the stairs, and I was a little kid, so kids say they have things that hurt all the time, and your parents are like, oh, it's just growing pains or whatever. But I was like,
Yep.
To the point I could almost not walk. And so they brought me in, and though it's fairly rare, my local doctor at a small town hospital seemed to know what it was like almost right away. And so, I had to go and see a specialist, and I had 3 surgeries on my hip. The second one was to put in pins, and the third one was to take them back out.
Wow.
But yeah, I still, like I said, have limited range of motion. But perhaps the most interesting thing is when they put the pins in, I had to be in a body cast for 6 weeks.
Oof.
And so the body cast came up, covered my entire right leg, and about halfway up my chest. I still had my arms free, but that's where it cut off. And I always tell the story because it's one of my favorites. So my parents, they had me in a room on the first floor. I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't even really sit up to build Lego. So there was a lot of sitting around for 6 weeks. And so my dad was like, well, he can use his arms still. I want to be able to have him eat dinner with us. So he took me out of bed, and he put me down on a piece of plywood, and he traced around me. And then he put like wood blocks on this piece of plywood where the cast was to kind of keep me in place, so that he could prop me up at the dinner table so I could eat. But the story is classic because the very first day he had this contraption out, I was eating with and I feel the board start to slip. The entire board just went over backwards.
Oh no.
Landed flat on my back. Like I couldn't
Ouch.
move or anything, I was just stuck there like a turtle. But yeah, that was the only time we tried that. It was my dad's, grand idea, and ended up not working out so well. But Lego was a great escape, for sure. It's I was known, the kids in first grade were like, they didn't see me ever, and when I would come in, I had like a walker that had bars between the legs to like keep my gait wide, all this other stuff. So I was definitely the kid everyone could point to and be like, oh, there's the kid with the messed up leg, So
Growth.
yeah, there you go. She had the same issue, growth pains, and was ignored for months. She had a full hip replacement a year or so ago, and they fixed her 4-inch height difference.
4-inch.
That's way more extreme than me. I only have this 1/4-inch difference, and they seem to be able to catch it pretty quickly. The other interesting thing is leg perthes for Mr. Platypus unum is spelled with 2 G's, because leg is actually the name of one of the 2 people who discovered the condition. It has nothing to do with the body part.
Wow.
So, leg perthes, and there's actually a third scientist, Calvé, but no one ever calls it leg Calvé perthes. That guy got screwed, I guess. But leg and perthes, they're the 2 scientists that discovered it. LEGG. So, it's way deeper dive into leg perthes than you thought you'd get today.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's, man, well, best of luck to your sister. I hope that all turns out well. That story has a happy ending. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, maybe they'll become a master Lego builder. You never know.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, we know that the potential is there.
Yeah, for sure.
Cutting letters for Chetland.
Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah, if you're going to take a letter, you might as well take that second G. No one needs it anyway.
Yep. So
It's the
if you
same
add
thing or not.
both people's names to that, it sounds like a sea exploration vessel.
Yeah, or a law firm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Perthies. Yeah.
Down
Yeah,
it goes.
I still love big boats and big ships. So Lego's been spoiling us lately with the Endurance, and then the Captain Jack Sparrow's pirate ship or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And then Bricklink Designers having one coming out, Fortuna. So they're kind of ramping that up. On the Goonies to some extent. So still love me a big sea exploration vessel of some type. I like the old pirate ships more, but any boat I'm for some reason a bit of a sucker for.
Yeah, it was cool when Brick Dad was showing off his display the other day. That was fun.
Yeah.
So when you guys were talking about the Goonies set the other night, I missed a bunch of that. I had to cut out. What was your take on the actual ship side of that?
I think it looks okay. I don't mind the design. It's definitely there as a facade for the backside. They are way more proud of the backside of that. Yeah, I was curious if spent $660, how much beer building you could actually create a vessel. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I guess it's maybe a lesson for all those people who bought that slice. That you can make both sides of the model look nice, or that both sides of the model look nice if you want to. Obviously, $300,000.
Yeah.
Set, I guess you can make the back look as terrible as you want, but
Yeah.
I like that it's two-sided, and I think it looks pretty decent.
So. Yeah. I love the concept and what they were shooting for. I understand people's argument that the little scenes are too jammed and they tried to do too much. I still think the execution is okay.
Yeah.
It's just the front of the ship, that last like 2 inches there, where it's all like jammed and flat. Yeah. That's a bit of a shame.
It is very squished, no question.
Yep.
But yeah. I think it represents and looks like the thing it's supposed to look like. And I also can kind of tell that it looks like it's sort of tipped slightly.
Yep.
So it might be better in person too. Who knows? A lot of people have had that reaction to the Death Star. But yeah, I mean, I think the price is decent. It's not amazing. As I had mentioned, I think if this came out last year, it would have been $300 instead of $330. But
yep.
We are where we are with it now. So for 12 minifigs and 2,900 pieces, $330.
It's a lot of minifigs.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty decent.
Pretty recognizable, yeah. So.
And the GWP is really good, I think.
Yeah, that's how they're getting you now. I kind of appreciate that this one's not missing from the set. Like, it is a side build.
Yep.
Brick Dad was saying, though, on our show that, the Goonies logo is like the piece that kind of seems missing, though. Like, I kind of get that, but I don't know. I mean, if you're a Goonies fan, you know what that thing is without a sign that says the Goonies next to it.
And if the GWP didn't exist, nobody would even comment that part was missing.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And it's not like I will say I appreciate that they didn't exclude 2 of the kids to put in the GWP. I mean, it's mom and dad, so they're not 100% necessary. They're extra characters in that movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So
same with the what is it? The Enterprise D that's coming, but we don't know about it yet.
We don't.
And and the GWP, the shuttle with Ensign Rowe that we don't know about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think the same thing applies there. You can miss her, and it's not the end of the world. And I don't think anybody cares whether there's a shuttle or not.
Right.
But pretty cool to have them.
It's a nice GWP. Yeah.
Yep.
I take that all the time over the stupid Death Star, hangar with the TIE fighter, where it's like, well, if it's not there, there's a hole in the model. I guess it's so busy and packed that you don't necessarily miss it. But it does seem like it's going to be incomplete in the future if you don't have both parts. And that, that I don't like so much. But,
yeah. And next year they'll just release it as a microfighter for $12.99.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't think they had a crazy exclusive figure in there either. Just the hanger and the little tiny TIE fighter. So
yeah, I don't know. Is that what microfighters are now? Are they $12.99? Or are they a full 15?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see here. Last ones they did or what?
Plo Koon was the last one.
Yeah, so Plo Koon is $14.99.
Okay.
The one before that, Captain Rex, was $12.99. So they are now at the full $14.99.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then basically all the other microfighters are retired now.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then the yellow clone battle pack that's $50 or $55 or whatever.
Yeah, that's
man.
Yeah. They had, when that first came out, somebody took a picture of it for, what was it? It's $44.99, I think it was. Yeah, sitting right next to the previous release that was on sale for $23.99. They're the same size box. They basically have the same amount of everything in it that are close enough. It's like, you're gonna try to tell me it's worth an extra $20? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm on Lego.com. It's a 1 1/3 star rating. 1.3. So close there. And it's the price, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a battle pack. I mean, they're supposed to be cheap.
Right.
I don't know.
It's got 7 figures, though. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but still, it's just, I think the optics too of having a $45 battle pack.
Yep.
It's like it was bad enough when they were $30. Now you want 50% increase in price.
Yep.
Yeah. So the other one probably before that was the Clone Trooper Plus and Battle Droid Battle Pack.
Yep.
With that walking spider droid in it. So yeah.
Man, I have so many of those friggin' spider droids kicking around.
Yeah. Who needs those anymore?
No. Well, I bought a bunch of them and I split them up to sell all the minifigs. And then what do you do with the little build?
Yeah.
You list it for 95 cents and hope somebody scoops it up and adds it into their cart.
Yeah. Well, you could collect 60 of them and build some sort of crazy mock with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
just make sure I get the right number of tables.
It's right. Don't get one table and then bring 5 tables worth of stuff. Yeah. Definitely a little more space. Kind of get a little space between you and the next build it's appreciated for sure.
Yeah. Now that you have some practice, do you actually like prep your layout and kind of measure it to know what you need? No.
I mean, I should, but no.
Yeah.
I think part of what I've been able to do though is there'll be some local shows that I'll bring stuff to. Part of it too is a lot of times in my mind, I will accurately know what I can get on a table, and then I'll second guess myself and think that it's going to be too empty, and I'll bring in the extra thing that I end up not putting out. But yeah, if I go to a local show or a library show or something, I can get some idea of what 2 MOCs will fill up a table nicely. But inevitably what happens is those 2 MOCs will get packed away to go to Chicago, and I'll scramble build something new, and I just won't have any concept of how it should fit on the table. So that always tends to be it. Is I've got one or two things that are the last two things I build that end up becoming too big or whatever the case is. I'll say this year, the three things that I built last, three things that I like the best. So
Huh.
sometimes the pressure to finish it is kind of nice. Gets the juices out.
Now, so you drive and you bring the whole family, right?
Yes,
How do you fit all of your stuff? Do you
that's
rent a trailer?
that's a 2-car adventure. So
Oh, okay.
I take the SUV. It is filled to the brim with Lego. I can get myself in there and my clothes bag, I guess, sometimes, usually. And then the wife and kids come up independently. Sometimes they have to bring something with them too, that's Lego based. Usually it's if the kids are doing a build, maybe they'll have to bring that. But yeah, occasionally they've had to do that. Unfortunately, we had 2 SUVs last year. One of my SUVs died, and so now we've got an SUV and a crossover. So I won't be able to get away with that level of making them bring Lego. All the Lego is going to have to come with me. They can only bring, clothes in themselves. Otherwise, we won't make it. So
Oh man.
that's how it goes, I guess. But yeah, I mean, part of it too is learning how to pack it. Remembering, of course, that space in cars is vertical, not just horizontal. And finding ways to to cram it all in there. But yeah, the most crazy thing that I've had to do. So a few years ago, what we built for Eurobricks Collaborative is we built a boat called the Party Barge of the Dead. It was this giant black boat. It was like 15 feet long, and
Wow.
it celebrated like every culture that does like some sort of celebration of the afterlife was included on there. So we had like a Valkyrie, and we had lots of Day of the Dead stuff on there. So it was the whole boat was black and was covered in all these colorful flowers and vibrant colors. But we were, I don't know, down to like the last 8 weeks or something, and everybody had claimed different parts of the build. The only thing that hadn't been claimed was the back of the boat. So we had someone who was just doing like the cladding for the sides. And we had a bunch of foam underneath, and a lot of people were doing builds for the decking. But we needed the entire back shape part of the boat done. And so I was voluntold / maybe volunteered to build it. I don't know. And so this thing was enormous. It was, 4 feet across and super, super enormous. I don't even know how many base plates it was. But the only way I could get it into my car reliably and be able to take it back out is we had done some construction at my house. And so I put a 6-panel door in the back of my car, and I slid the boat onto the 6-panel door, and we used the 6-panel door to carry the MOC into the hall and put it on the table.
Wow.
For the back, and then clad everything else around it. I ended up leaving the door there, so the Renaissance ended up with a nice solid core 6-panel door because I didn't bring it back with me. But yeah,
Man.
I gotta find the pictures of that. So I've got the test fit of this door with this boat on it sitting in the back of the car. It was just crazy.
Man.
So
So did that ship all come together well?
yeah, that one was beautiful. The year we did that one though was the same year as Nushima, so I think that was 3 years ago. And Nushima was a sight to behold, but it ended up being a really cool build. If you go on YouTube, Brothers Brick did a thing on it, so you can definitely see it. Party Barge, Your Brick's Party Barge of the Dead,
Party Barge of the Dead.
and it
Okay.
was just crazy. So, but yeah, the door was, it's one of those legendary Brickworld things where 6 of us were carrying this thing in on the door, so that we could put it down nicely on the table to finish the back of the ship. So, and I was relieved, that like it lined up with everything. It was the right width, right number of studs across, and all that stuff. Because that's part of the trick of collaborating is making sure you don't miss a plate here or a couple studs there. So
Now, how does that work? Is that all done through Studio so you can get everything lined up? You share pictures or?
we share pictures. We do like Zoom meetings, once a month or something. So yeah, we've tended to do it that way. I think the other thing that we've kind of done is we know how to work together, and maybe we'll take if there's something that's different or unique about the build, we'll have 2 or 3 people who we know are definitely going to be there, and we'll definitely do the math and count the bricks. They'll get assigned the parts that absolutely need to line up, and then everybody else can build and be creative in more freeform shape, or something really easy like the decking on that build. Not that it was easy, lots of those builds are beautiful, but the decking is, oh yeah, it's just 48 by 48 base plate size or whatever. So that's a lot easier to figure out than, oh, this thing's got to curve down and be the shape of the boat and all that stuff. So part of that is that too, is it's making sure you coordinate the right people for the right job if there's a trick in fitting something. Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking to be the one who's not setting the standard, but having to copy the shape that someone else did to make sure that it fits properly, and you don't end up there and it's only it's 2 studs too short, so it's 1 stud off on each side.
Oof.
Oh, that'd be the worst. But
yeah,
sometimes
a little late in the game to fix that.
Yeah, we could find ways to fix it, but it's very satisfying when it just fits.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of pictures, lots of brick counting. I go cross-eyed trying to count the studs. So you're like, oh, that's definitely a 1 by 8, and then you're counting. Nope, it's only a 1 by 6. So yeah, go cross-eyed doing that.
For things like that, does everybody show up Tuesday night to be ready, Wednesday morning, whatever?
Well, we come from all over. So some people, when they build with like a Lego user group with like a lug, everybody is in relatively close proximity because they have, their lug meetings and all of that. They can go to someone's house and build together, whatever the case is. For Eurobricks, there are a couple people who are local to Chicago, but everybody else is from all over the place, including international. We have people who come from Norway and people who come from Australia. So yeah, we definitely don't get it all in on the same day, and it takes some coordination, especially like if you have one of the bottom sections of something. You got to be there early, or else everyone's waiting to stack everything. I usually end up going now on Wednesday to Brickworld. It used to be Thursday, but now Wednesdays. But I usually don't get there until mid to late afternoon. Turns out I'm always packing or building one last thing, or trying to figure out what bricks I should bring to finish the last thing. So
we're trying to get a door in the car.
Yeah, trying to get the door in the car. Yeah, so I don't always leave. I'm like, oh, I can leave at 8 a.m. and I'll be there by 2. But it ends up being I don't leave till 10 a.m. and I'm not there till 5:30 because I have to stop and go to the bathroom, adjust something, get lunch or whatever. So never ends up being quite as early as I'm anticipating.
Yeah, that's also the advantage of driving, though. You can do those last minute things. It's not like you're flying. You're in a complete panic trying to get out the door on time.
Yeah, and there are people who do that. So lots of people for Brickworld travel from Europe. So yeah, it's definitely from Europe and Australia. We always end up with quite a few Australians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
we might
looking forward to
complain
meeting
about our
some of the Aussie
prices.
folks
Whew.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Aussie prices are crazy. So
they don't even make sense.
yeah, no.
The conversion is so crazy.
Yeah. I feel bad for them to some large extent. But I guess, for them it's winter in June, so coming over here is like a nice vacation for them. So
Yep. Yeah. I thought it was a lot colder than expected last year.
Yeah, I'd prefer it be semi-chilly Brickworld time than scalding hot, which is what it usually is.
Yeah.
Because when it's scalding hot, then you've got the you're just sweating like a pig when you go in to set stuff up. And I'm usually sweating like a pig anyway, trying to make sure I don't drop anything that I have to carry in. So there's already that stress in there. All right,
Yeah.
Find this boat butt here. All
Yeah,
right,
that's a lot of potential problems.
Yeah. I gotta find this test fit picture. Here it is. Yeah. I don't know if you'll even be able to see this, but I can zoom in. All right. Let's try this. We'll see how this looks. So here's the. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Yep.
You can kind of see it. So there's the back of the car. There's the door. There's the boat on it. You can see all the Technic structure in there holding it together.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the 6-pound door. We had to carry that in. You can see it takes up the top, 4 panels.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was pretty big. I
wild.
wedged it way in there. So yeah, that was definitely the craziest thing I've done to get a MOC to Brickworld. That was the test fit too. That wasn't even the final version. But I had to make sure it was going to get in there.
So you had to take it back out again?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so what I ended up doing is I put a sawhorse down and I pulled the board out so that the door was on the back of the SUV and on the back of the sawhorse, and then I would pick it up off of that. But when we took it out, when I got to Chicago, it was just straight out 6 people. I didn't have a sawhorse with me. I carried it in. So
wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's nice having some teamwork.
Yeah. Team lift on that one. Yeah.
So with all of these trips to Brickworld, is that how you met Mark, or did you know him prior to Brickworld?
Yeah, so guess what? We're back on Eurobricks. Yeah, so Mark was a moderator on Eurobricks when I first started there.
Okay.
It's actually kind of a crazy story because he ended up he was one of the administrators. He was posting a lot on there. He liked to play in these game forums and other things. So I didn't know him well. But while I was doing the Guilds of Historical work, right, this role-playing castle game thing, I had become sort of a leader of one of the groups, and I had a builder, a participant, who was challenging, to say the least. And he'd, fly off the handle if he didn't win a competition, or he'd come on and trash people's MOCs and tell them that they were terrible.
Oh.
He'd base like the value of what someone built based on how much money it cost them to produce it, like just ridiculous things like that. And so eventually he became such a problem I had to report him to Mark for something. And so I did, and that's when Mark first discovered anything I had built. I don't know why, but he looked up, probably like, oh, who's this guy reporting this jerk? Because I wasn't staff or anything. And he had seen some of my builds, and so he was excited to meet me at Brickworld in 2012. So that's where we met the first time. His dad had just passed away, right before that. So it was kind of an interesting brick world for him. But it's the first time I met him in person. I wouldn't say we were friends, but we were friendly. In fact, I tried to. The next year, I had his phone number and whatever else, since he was sort of a leader both with Brickworld. He didn't own it at the time, but he was both a leader uh, at Brickworld as well as on Eurobricks. So when my son was born, I tried to text him a picture, but I ended up sending it to the wrong number. So I have his number now. We text all the time now, but at the time I ended up sending it to someone else. And I'm like, why isn't he responding to me? Don't my Lego friends care about my kid? So then I had a couple years that I missed Brickworld for my son, and then I guess sort of kind of the trauma bonding is in 2015. My mother was diagnosed with cancer, and she died right before Brickworld, and it was terminal. We knew it was, and so part of having a terminal diagnosis is finding things to look forward to doing. And so one of the things that she had included on there was being able to go to Brickworld this last time. She had been given much more time than she ended up having. So, it was really fresh. She died in the end of March, and Brickworld's in June. So it'd just been a couple months, and I built a tribute. It was a spaceship that's up on my shelf over here for her. And so, I guess having had a similar experience with his dad right before Brickworld, we had a good chance to bond. I think the other interesting thing about that year is the collaboration that Eurobricks did was a bit of a mess. It was probably our worst one. It's the worst one I've participated in for sure. And so my spaceship worked. It was a sci-fi type theme, but it just wasn't like well organized. It wasn't well thought out. And so we spent time around the display, like trying to tweak it and fix it and build stuff. So we had a lot of time to kind of talk and goof around. So that was kind of the first time that we had sort of spent any extended period of time just joking around. And then a couple of years later, he purchased the company, got the offer to purchase it. The prior owners, and he did. We'd always been friends since then. So that's kind of how I started to become involved doing more for Brickworld. Now, of course, I did live stream for Brickworld. I don't get job. They put together the run a show and talk about MOCs. Sort of the genesis for why he wanted me to do that. Outside of your friends that he knew, I probably would say yes if he asked me. Was during COVID, he did a couple of virtual shows. So I had some webcams. So during the Zoom days, I had a couple of them. So during these virtual shows, I could show what I was building. And then we'd also talk about what we were building during our Euromix collaborative meetings. I thought that I would do a good job with that. He asked me to do it, so he did. So that's sort of how I got into doing that. And we were already friendly before that. I just sort of solidified working together every week. So yeah, it was organic, I'll say. Just be kind of slow friends, knowing of each other, and then trauma bonding for sure.
Yeah, it's you guys make an interesting pair. The
Yeah,
very different personalities, but you seem to meet in the just right spot.
yeah, I agree. I think part of it is we couldn't be more different in a lot of ways, but we're very similar in other ways, especially on the Lego front. We have a lot of opinions that mesh. Like personality wise, he's the extrovert, no question. You know how they have the duos, the comedy duos or the live stream duos. You've got the color guy and the straight man. You know, I've probably been pegged as the straight man, fair or not. And of course, Mark's actually gay, so you know, I can be the straight man in that sense too. But no, it is sort of different in that regard. I don't know if you see me on the live stream, you probably don't think, oh, that guy's an introvert and you know, he's not natural at this, but I'm not at all. Like, it's a total struggle for me all the time, finding words and doing all that. I can do it. I've had enough experience now that I'm getting better at it. But like, if I was just hosting like a video of something I built, I could not find the words. It's just not in my, you know, natural wheelhouse to do that kind of stuff. For Mark, that's definitely like the kind of stuff he's good at. He's on. He can, you know, he's got the right energy. He's got the right inflection. So I think we do kind of his frantic energy and sort of my more calm energy. That being said, I have produced some of our stupidest and silliest segments as well. So, you know, I'm not just the straight laced, let's keep on task guy. But you know, it does help, I think, to have a blend of frenetic energy and, you know, let's stay on topic. So yeah, I think it's a good dynamic, but you know,
for sure. Yeah, I need to get used to the time slot. I've watched the show a million times at this point. I still get the time wrong every single week.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Central Time on Sundays.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, anyone joining here for the first time is like, hey, I'd love to catch that show. I'm not going to be there this Sunday.
Oh,
I almost never miss a show, but I'm going to be gone for like the first time in 6 months or something.
Yes.
I'll probably still end up checking in. That seems to happen even when we miss the show. We still find some excuse to check in for a few minutes. But yeah, Mark will have to come up with everything this week, and it's kind of funny. Every time I'm not there, he spends a third of the show talking about how I'm not there. So I just think that's funny.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who hasn't seen the show for any reason, there is a link to the channel in the show description. So make sure you do that. Go subscribe. You can stick around while you do that. Nice and easy. In my head, every show starts at 9 p.m. I don't know why that is. It just mentally, every show starts at 9. If it doesn't start at 9, it started at 9 anyway.
Yeah. All right.
So it's usually around 8:30 or so that I say, "Oh shit, not 9 o'clock," and then
they're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be 8 o'clock for you. Yeah. So you know, half an hour late.
Yep.
So that's okay. The first half hour we just talk about ourselves anyway. So you know, and what's happening. It's you know, interesting too. The other thing for us is our show. It's like, oh, how long is the show gonna run? You know, at first we're like, oh, 2 hours. Then it's like, oh, 3 hours. Now it's, you know, ends up being like 3.5 to 4 hours, like on the regular. And the funny part is I'll be like, oh, we've got no news this week. We'll be done in 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'll struggle to find things to talk about. The only time the show is, you know, under 3.5 hours is when either Mark or I are not there. If we're both there, it's going 4 hours. Like we can't help it. So it's just become hard to, you know, not just want to hang out and joke around with each other. So,
well, you guys seem to have been at least a trio lately, with Brick Dad coming around a lot. Yep. So you have a third set of opinions and everything else mixed in there too.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's
not going to get a short show that way.
Yeah, it's a good deal for Brick Dad, right? Because we haven't made him do any like work yet. He just gets to come in and, you know, enjoy the show. He doesn't like have to do the run of show or anything. But yeah, he's definitely welcome. We've had Lene on a few times, the Brick Babe as well. There have been other people who have hosted from time to time. And yeah, it's nice to have a third opinion, a tiebreaker. and Mark and I disagree. Sometimes Brick Dad even tries to keep me on task, so that's not bad either. He does a pretty good job of. He's a better content creator than Mark or I could be for sure. Like his the stuff he produces for TikTok and Instagram and whatever else, definitely more polished, and he's got that down far more than we do. So yeah, he's definitely been nice to have around. He's an admin on the site now too, so he could like go and start a live stream if he wanted to. Be on the Brickworld channel. So
yep, with his wonderful service.
Yeah, I mean that's the only one of the big issues though is he's always so grainy because his internet is not where mine or Mark's is. First few times we did the show, I'd have internet problems too. Sometimes Mark would. I ended up upgrading my internet service to do the show. I should remind Mark of that. Tell him I need him to do something nicer. So I shouldn't even joke about that because he has many nice things. So we've been pretty good on our internet service. Sometimes I'll still pause. Sometimes he'll still pause. I don't know why. We're not really as bad as Brick Dad's. It's definitely the lower end. I don't know if it's still dial up or what his problem is, but we should tease him more about it for sure. So.
It's so crazy that we live in a time where we have self-driving cars and all of this wacky stuff, but there's still set dead zones where you can't get cell service and crappy home internet.
Yeah, fiber optic and satellite and all this stuff, and yet if you're outside of the Chicago city limits, you're struggling to get reliable internet. Yeah, I found this. So I got this computer here, but I've showed it a couple times randomly on the stream, but it's a home server that I also use for live streaming because it's in the Lego room. So it's here because it's supposed to be out of the way, but it's this monstrous box. It's impossible to get behind it, but it does have dual Ethernet ports, and like I don't know. 2 months ago, I finally switched it from one of the Ethernet ports to the other, and then I haven't had any of that stupid weak signal thing since, which is great. But every time I get that, it would drive me crazy because it's like if you're on Wi-Fi, move closer to the antenna. I'm like, it's physically wired. Like, what's your problem? Yep. So we slowly have ironed out most of our technical glitches. Now we just got to get Brick Dad on, a high-speed internet line, and we'll be good to go. So
yeah,
but it's great to have a third chair, especially when one of us is going to be gone, because it's extremely hard to do it by yourself. So
yeah, and actually having segments and things planned out, that's a great part about an interview type show is I just have to ask a couple of questions and shut up. And you guys are responsible for everything else, which is amazing.
Blabbing.
No, blabbing is fantastic. It's Absolutely. When you have somebody on that doesn't like to talk that gets challenging.
Or who doesn't understand that they have to talk, right?
Yeah.
And I had that a couple times too. There's some builders that I really like. And during the Brickworld virtual shows, one of them was hosting a room. He's not from the U.S., but I kept like asking him questions to spur conversation. He's displaying this MOC, and it's a beautiful MOC. He's like taking levels off it. Like I'm trying to ask him questions about it, and he's like giving me one-word answers, and I'm like, so. But It's still fun. He's still a good guy. It's just it's like. Man, and I'm sure it was outside his comfort zone too. It was just great that he wanted to do it, But definitely made my job harder that day.
Yeah. First time I was ever a guest on anything. It's my social anxiety is pretty bad when I'm like not in my home court, I guess. And I thought it was terrible, being like inside my head, and then replaying it afterwards, it's like, oh my God, I answered every question. I don't think I elaborated the tiniest little bit on anything. It's like, oh man, what a horrible guest. Let's not relive that.
Yeah. Yeah, what I notice, so when I'm doing the show, I'll notice the pauses when I'm talking. But when I watch it back, it's not as bad as what I picture it as in my head in terms of how. So I always think that the performance is much worse than it is. The other problem too is because I have chemistry with Mark. When he's not there, or I have somebody with like a slight leg in their video or audio, I feel like I talk over them a lot. So I get self conscious about that stuff still. And like, did I include this person? Did I not include that person? It's always going to be there for me. I'm probably never going to shake it. When I watch it back, it's never as bad as I think
Yep.
it is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's better to be your own worst enemy than have everybody else just kind of be your enemy and haunting you, right?
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, maybe you're more like me in that regard. Yeah, my social anxiety. Like this would not be the job I would pick for myself, but at the same time, I like sharing. It's just I have just nauseous about the thought of doing it, in front of a public audience. One on one, I can do it just fine, and that's kind of how I treat this, right? Like I know there are people in the chat, but I can handle this. If we were with an audience in front of us, I'd be sweating and shaking and wouldn't be able to do it. So.
Yep. Yeah, same. I wouldn't even consider it with an audience, like a physical audience.
Yeah.
I mean, and thankfully at this point, just about everybody in chat is a familiar face. They're all great. You recognize a lot of them too, I'm sure.
Yep.
And we get a pretty good replay gang over here. It's our, I don't know, post-show viewership is really good. But those people, you don't see at all. Like, they're there, they're real. Obviously, we appreciate them.
Yeah.
But in this setting, we're not seeing them. So it's even less to be anxious about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. And I always tell this to people, on the couple shows leading up to Brickworld. It's like, you probably feel like you know me from the show, but in person, like I'm going to be nervous if you come and meet me. And, that probably seems strange to them to be like, he's sarcastic with me when I comment, but then when they meet me in person and I'm awkward and I don't know when I'm supposed to end the conversation and I forget to ask them where their stuff is, just like, terrified that I'm going to say something stupid to them. But, I try to be very intentional about that now, because it's not that I'm not interested. It's like, I'm just terrified of my own response. And I don't even think of,
Yep.
Where's your builds? I want to go look at them. I want to interact with you too, because I do. I'm just so busy with
Yep.
Don't say a dumb thing.
Yeah.
So, no. But I don't hide from it anymore. I mean, I just tell people that's the way it is. And I know not everyone's going to like me for that, or, some people might think I'm stuck up or something. And, I don't think that's true. I just think, if I seem inconsiderate, it's more, I'm like too nervous to say thank you. Not because I'm not thankful. It's just, that's kind of my anxiety right there. So.
Yeah, it's tricky because you almost get verbal blind spots, I guess. Like you talk about, not saying thank you, that kind of thing, where I'm nearly incapable of starting a conversation with somebody. Like unless it's almost an obligation. Like they're standing in front of me, we're making eye contact. You have to say something, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
After the first couple words, I'm all right. But that door has to open or it's suffering.
Yeah, you gotta get a little push, a little jab here and there. So yeah, and I've done quite a few live streams now. I'm starting to get more into that. So I love being invited to do them. I love sharing. Just wasn't necessarily what I was anticipating. When Mark kind of roped me into this, was sort of being out there in that regard. And there's some benefits to doing it as well. I've been able to meet a lot more people. But yeah, it's still strange to me. And anytime someone comes up who I don't know, who knows me or asks me something, and I'm just like, man, that just doesn't seem real. And I'm not nearly as exposed as, say, the guys on ACOB are, or Hive, or Shy Time is My Time. These people who are everywhere.
Yep.
Like M&R Productions, I'm sure they get that all the time. It happens to me twice at Brickworld. That's it.
Yeah.
But still, it's just such a weird thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, those guys, to some degree, live for that kind of attention. There's maybe not so much Shy. He's not as loud as the rest of them.
Right.
But that group, they're pretty out there.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. I mean, they're an important part of the community. You need the vocal, outgoing, kind of rowdy people, kind of keep spirits up, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you need someone to bring people in, but you also need people that'll make people stay, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. Kind of feel like maybe I'm more in that second category to a large extent. The people who like what we do, really like what we do.
Yep.
But yeah, we're not great at promoting, our stream either. So, or the channel in general. But those who have found it like it and tend to come back. So that's, what I like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice always seeing, it's familiar faces there too. Mm-hmm. And Jazzy, and there's one more. Shit. I forget who it is. But I've seen them in like 4 different corners of like the Lego universe. So from here, your show, I think Jazzy is a subscriber for Ralph's Bricks, Bricklink channel.
Okay.
And somewhere else, and all of the shows are so different.
Yeah.
It's great seeing people sprinkled all over the place, common interests, but in weird spots.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody shows exactly the same.
Yep.
And Mark and I show up on Friday Night Bricks sometimes. They're very freeform. They don't really. Sometimes they sort of have topics or ideas on what to do, but usually, we end up in completely random conversations. Like you said, less Lego talk, more life talk, which isn't necessarily bad either. It's just different.
Not at all. Yep.
But yeah, it's always nice to make friends. So.
Yeah, the community's pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I've kept you for 2 hours. I'm not going to make. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right, perfect. So, Jazzy, correct me am I crazy? You're in Ralph's channel too, right? Did I make that up? I don't think I made that up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Here, I can do this for you here.
Yes. All right.
Let me switch cameras.
Ooh.
And you can see my little shelf back here.
Oh, that's exciting.
Because I'm almost
like Johnny Cash.
Yep.
Wow.
So a lot of these are older builds. We showed this a little bit on, I think, Outside the Blocks. But they're the Subi 428, this comma. This is the ship I mentioned that I built for my mom in 2015. So I got that one, and then I did put the Brickworld Master brick out.
Awesome.
It's the only one that I put out on the shelf, but I kind of felt like, it made sense to be in there. You can see a spaceship. It's one of the things that people know me for. And then some of the classic space stuff I was talking about. I don't have all the classic space guys out yet. Ships, I'm still working on that. A couple of actual Lego sets have made it in here. Like I got the Killdozer and the excavator there. And then I got a few of the older castle builds around. Mostly the older stuff because I don't bring it to conventions anymore. It's able to, sit on the shelf. And even though it's not necessarily modern techniques, it's still, builds that I have some fondness for. So this one over here desperately needs to be dusted. But this was one of the ones I brought to the 2012 Brickworld, my first show. So this kind of piratey looking half timbered thing here was sort of the highlight for me at that show. But desperately needs to be dusted now.
Is there? What is the base on that?
There's no base on that one.
Yeah.
So just gray brick or just gray plates. I got a couple of these kind of older ones, and then the hexagons, of course, is kind of the thing I'm into now. So got one with a hexagon there in the corner for the modular display system.
All right, since you've mentioned the hexagons, there was an episode of the show where you explained those very well. I don't suppose you have any idea which show that was.
We did it several times right after Brickworld, I think. So I would look for episodes around the beginning of July, probably. August, where we talked about them probably the most. And I still have, that's, still what I'm working on now. So here are the current projects. Got a stable back here. That's on a hexagon. And then I'm working on this. Another blacksmith, like I said. How many blacksmiths can you build? This is the Royal Blacksmith that I'm working on here. So starting to work on that one and being able to sort of build out the entire display with different modules to sort of expand the city. This is the Lion Knights Forge that I'm sort of working on. And this is the type of thing we'll look at on Sunday as this comes together. Kind of worked on this right before I jumped on with you. So this is going to be like a way to crank up a crane. It's going to be on the side here. So this was an actual technique they'd use in medieval times. They'd have like something you could crawl into like this and walk the wheel to like raise and lower rope on a crane.
Human hamster.
Yeah, the human hamster wheel. That's seriously a thing. So that's another thing I'm working on there. So that's sort of the background I've given myself now. This is kind of a changeover because before I just had all the modulars up here.
Mm-hmm.
As fun as that was, I was kind of like, well, if our entire show is about, mocking and building stuff, it'd be great to have some original creations back here too.
Yep, this makes way more sense.
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. This green one up here at the top. Like I really like the architecture I did on that, but the techniques are old and rough. Like that's the kind of build that I would like to redo as we were sort of discussing it. Like that's one that would be prime for that. So might be something I tackle. You can also see it's got a couple of white bricks on the front there, up above on the little Tudor things. They're not supposed to be white. I just needed to pull the sand green parts for a different build. So I just left them like that. They're filler. So I'm not even sure what build it is because I can't think of anything I have built that uses sand green. And there's the rest of it. So got the Black Falcon's Fortress up there, as well as a little sketch model I built for inspiration. So mushroom house, not as good as the Bricklink Designer mushroom house. A cute little mushroom house too. So
that's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of been a fun little trip to be able to do this. And then I got those two light up 3D printed signs for Classic Space and Black Falcons that I got at Bricks and Minifigs. Kind of get washed out when I turn the light on, but so they're kind of fun too. So
how did you turn those on?
I have a remote. Here's the remote.
Oh,
It's got
tricky.
I can't crawl under the desk and turn it on and off. So, and neither of these things have switches. So I went to your Home Depot or your Menards type place and got a outlet that has a switch on it. So
so you have to crawl over the desk to move everything around in those shelves?
I would have to, yes. I physically have to sit up on top of this desk to pull things on and off, which is not safe, to say the least. It hurts my knees. I always feel like I'm about to either break the table or fall over backwards, So yeah, it's not fun. The stuff that ends up on the shelves are probably going to stay there for quite some time. But the modulars were stuck up there before, so it's not like there's a big change there. But yeah, so those are sort of my little peek at my favorite, at least themes and ideas. The mechs and the Classic Space, and then the castle, of course. So.
I'm trying to remember what it was called. Let's say it was something numbers X17 or something. It was a big space base thing that you built.
Yep. Yeah. So for a couple years, I built space bases, and I always know that the numbers. So this will help you out here. It would be H, and then the year that I built it. So it would be H17 or H19 or H18. So I don't know which one of those numbers it is, but yeah, that would be typically how they would get named. So yeah, I did several of those on Flickr where we had a large space base with a lot of lighting. Mostly it was a way to be able to display space fighters, but I ended up with a couple of them that were pretty big.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here it is. It's this. Looking at the Flickr page, it's a 17.
Okay.
That looking at the pictures of it lit up.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Yeah. So that one was a lot of fun, and that H17, I believe, basically it took up this whole desk. Glow with the just open the Flickr page. The red underglow underneath with some gems and some big potholes.
Oh, here, you know what? I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna drop the link to the Flickr page in chat here. All right. So everybody go look at that. It's nudge here. It looks like we need some updates.
H17, yeah, it's the right one. Yep, you got there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so this one's pretty this one was pretty crazy. So this one basically took up my entire build table here. In fact, I'm pretty sure it went end to end, and I couldn't assemble it all until I got to Brickworld.
Wow.
So that one, the H17 was the second big space base I did. I had an H16 as well, and then I did a couple after. But that one was definitely my favorite. It stayed together for like a year and a half before I had to pull it apart. I think all of the fighters that appear on the space base are still together, so a number of them are up here. There's still a couple that are missing, but I can see a couple of the vehicles in that display that are also up on my shelf here. So I also think that the platforms there, you see there the three platforms off to the side that have the landing pads on them. Those are what these are up here still. It's the same platform. So I've had those together since 2017.
Wow.
So the 3 platforms that are in the picture in my camera. So yeah, this was a really fun one. It was one of the first times I did a lot of lighting. The other thing that's maybe not super evident here, you can kind of see when you're looking at the picture that there's kind of a red underglow under everything. There was rope light snaked around underneath. So all of the crust sections there just kind of sat on top. And there was rope light underneath, kind of weaving through everything.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was a quite the build. One of my favorites. Same thing too here. I look at this and I'm like, God, there's. At the time when I built this, I'm like, oh, it's too square, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. But I'm looking at it now, I'm like, that's actually pretty cool, you know.
So how does the rope light work? Because that was all built on mills, right?
Yeah.
It looks like.
So it's got base plate underneath, and then it's got a border all around it, and then it had a stack of brick and plate and tile that was 5 tall, so I could just set the crust on top of it, I guess, for lack of a better term. And the crust was all built snot, so studs not on top.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really mills. It was a bunch of base plates I had to lay down and then put the crust over top of it. So the rope light was just weaved in between all that stuff.
Okay.
So
all right. I was wondering how you got the depth to actually make that work its way through.
It's pretty hollow inside there. Yeah. I think the actual building goes all the way down to the base bottom, so that it's not sitting on top of plates and tiles over there. But the rest of it just is just this crust that kind of came on and off. I had to label all of the parts of the crust with tape around them.
Jeez.
But I did that very late in the process, not at the beginning.
So, backtracking.
Label everything while I was taking it apart to Brickworld. So, yeah. So there it is. There's the new Lego shelves.
That's awesome.
I'll come back and stare at my ugly.
Hey.
There I am.
There you are.
Yeah, so that's a preview of the kind of stuff we look at for Think Outside the Box.
So what you're working on now that you just showed us and that we see on Sundays, is that what you'll be working on basically the whole way to June?
Well, so I have 3 collaborative builds that I've got to do stuff for.
Oh my God.
So those are going to take up time. I already have 1 build that's done. So that one you can see right after I started, right after Brickworld. And it is kind of a remake of a build I had a couple years ago called The Wolf in the Woods. But now it's on the hexagons, and the trees are bigger, and the building's more dilapidated. So that's one thing. I built this medieval cog. If you've been on the show, it's like a single sail medieval sailing ship. That's part of a collaborative I'm doing with Mark, but it needs a bunch more stuff. And then I don't know what else I'm going to build. I have ideas for like 4 other things, but how many of them am I actually going to commit to doing is like a completely different question. One of the things I've wanted to build for about 4 years, and I still haven't pulled the trigger, is a pirate ship that's shaped like a rubber ducky. I haven't been able to do it yet. I want to do it so badly. I was thinking I could have a plunger be one of the masts, and toilet paper for the sails, and all kinds of silliness. I could put Captain could be Ernie from Sesame Street. All this stuff, all these great ideas. But then I have to dig out the yellow. That's hurdle 1, and then I just have to like fully commit to doing it, and I just haven't been able to do it yet. So
yellow's a hard color.
Yeah. They've got several yellowish shades now, so maybe it would be that that fiery orangish yellow color now. I have lots of that. I kind of like that color. So,
Okay.
and
Yep. Yeah, because traditional yellow is the worst yellow.
pretty much, yeah. And there's not
Yep.
like a ton of parts in it. They've been doing a lot more parts in that flamish yellowish orange color. So lots of new slopes and ways to get shaping.
Yeah.
All right. Smoky Smokes. I could tell we were trying to wrap up before I busted out my other camera, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's so
Sweet farm here, Smoky Smokes.
that's one of the tough things about following other people's content and then having them come on. I miss questions and I miss little things that should be sharing with the crowd because I already know the answers or they're things I've already seen.
Yep.
But, yep.
Yeah, that's always a trick.
Sorry, guys, bad habit there.
But anyone who's coming in, obviously, you shared the Flickr link. Some of the newer stuff's also on Instagram. Same handle, Instagram at ZCerberus.
Yep. Instagram is also linked in the description. Try to make everything easy to find. So
Yeah.
if you didn't catch it earlier, the YouTube channel also linked in there. Make sure you go check that out.
Yeah. The other thing that I had this year in particular at Brickworld, so I did the dragon. That was sort of my first creature, and then I've done now for the last several years. I've done a Lego creation that doubles as a PC. I don't know if I'll do one this year, but I've done 3 of those now. The second one was a water cooled space base. I never took pictures of it because I never liked it, but I feel like I'm going to regret that now that I never took a picture of it. You can find images of it like from other people taking pictures of it, or maybe from a Brickworld video, but I never did like my full get up of taking pictures of it and editing them so it looks nice and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do another space-based computer. Who knows? Just because I regret not taking pictures, but it's all disassembled now, so it's too late. So
Yeah. I don't know how, with all the tasks you already mentioned, I don't know how you could possibly find time to add something that big.
Yeah.
Or that involved anyway.
That was interesting. The computer I did this year was Ice Planet. Yep. And the first thing I built after Brickworld last year was the frame and the actual computer itself. And then it was sitting in a corner for months because I didn't know what to do with it. I was completely stuck. I knew I wanted it to be Ice Planet, but that was it. Like outside of that, I didn't know the shape. I didn't know how I was going to integrate it into a base. So I just had this giant thing full of Technic beams. But that ended up being a lot of fun at the end. Ended up being probably my favorite thing that I brought there. And I don't know if it got as much reaction as I thought it would, only because I think a lot of people couldn't tell or didn't notice it was a computer, which is kind of strange because I had a big monitor there and a keyboard and a mouse and all this other stuff. But maybe that's a compliment too, that it was integrated enough that it wasn't obvious. But yeah, I don't know if I'll do that again this year, but that's kind of my other thing that I've sort of become known for, had a habit of doing, is these weird computer Lego things. So
yeah.
Who knows?
Speaking of computers, not necessarily Lego though, did you end up selling that Halo computer?
No, I still have it. Because my stupid SUV broke down, we had to buy a new car. So I was like, well, could use some cash to buy the car. We already have the car now, but I still have it up there. So yeah, there's some Instagram pictures of this Halo PC that I did. Airbrushed it. First time I've ever used an airbrush. But yeah, I really like it. I want to keep it even if I don't use it. But I also had to pay for this, new car since our our SUV that broke down. It was a Ford Flex. Was the one that had the door in the back of it with the boat. Had nothing but problems at the end. It died. It died a quick and horrible death.
Sad.
Yeah, but it had no payments on it, so it was great.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you had a car payment, and you're like, ugh, now we have to do a down payment. I never used the computer, so I'd be fine letting it go, but no one wants to pay that much for it either, which I also understand. So it's still sitting around. Maybe it's a good thing that I haven't lost it yet, but it's still out there. So
yeah, I show that thing to basically everybody that'll hold still.
Thanks.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's not the kind of thing I would ever have use for, and Halo really doesn't mean much of anything to me, but visually it's just fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah, I built that right when Halo Infinite was going to come out, and I've always thought it was cool. I mostly wanted to try out the airbrush. There was a couple of other things I wanted to try airbrushing, and just kind of seemed like a fun creative outlet. And yeah, you don't have to spend that much time to get okay at airbrushing. It's just fun how it kind of blends the colors by itself, and especially if your plan is to make things kind of dirtied up and worn. It's really good for that. Luckily, I haven't gotten into airbrushing or painting like miniatures, like Warhammer guys or whatever.
Man.
That would be, if you did both Lego and Warhammer, you'd live in a homeless shelter, I guess, because that would just eat through all your funds, unless you're independently wealthy, I guess.
Yep. You talked to Shy about that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Poor Shy.
Yep. I mean, not the independently wealthy part, just the Lego and Warhammer.
And Warhammer. Yeah. So that was definitely sort of, the entire purpose. But the case that I painted, that Halo one, kind of gave me the same basic layout that I used for the Ice Planet PC. Like the PC part there, it's similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's a similar layout and structure to how that PC frame was for the Halo one. So yeah, something else crazy to check out if you like custom PCs and airbrushes. That was another one where I had that built, and like I meet people who, like at a convention, they always end up with a face painter or something there. And one of the ones I went to, they had a guy who was doing airbrushing on t-shirts and hats. And I wanted to show him the Halo PC, and I'd never taken a picture of it.
Oh.
So, yeah, I only have that one picture. Those pictures from my cell phone. I should probably are those from my cell phone? I think they are. I should probably actually take a real picture of that thing too, with like an actual clean backdrop. But if I sell it, I sell it, and then I won't have to worry about it. But
yeah, but if you sell it, then you won't have the opportunity to take a picture of it again.
I know. It's just like taking apart the water-cooled space-based PC. Like, I should have done it, and I know I should have done it, but I was just like, oh, it's so much work to carry it upstairs and plug it in, turn it on, find the right angles, and edit the pictures. I'm like, ugh, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
now I'm, I regret it. So.
Yep. A little effort's better than a lot of regret. Although,
true.
It's also a lot easier for it to fall out of my mouth than to practice it myself. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry, right? That's the version of that.
Yeah. I try to live by, spend more time experiencing the moment than recording the moment. And that also leads to a bunch of regret, because you get so busy, then afterwards you want to tell somebody, oh, I did this awesome thing, and look at the no pictures that I have of it. Yep. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that was the case for me at Brickworld for so many years, is I would have pictures of lots of people's stuff and never my own. Like, I'd not take a picture of it. And then people would be like, oh, what did you display there? I'm like, son of a bitch, I didn't take any pictures of my stuff. Because same thing, like I was there, I knew what it looked like. Like, why do I need a picture to remember it later?
Yep.
That would always be the question. My sister, my younger sister, I shouldn't call her little. She's almost 40.
I do the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, actually, she is. She'll be 40 this next year. Yeah. Yeah. My little sister, she always will text me at the show and be like, "Hey, can you send me pictures of what you brought?" So like, she's the one who intentionally or otherwise reminds me to take a picture of what I've actually got there. Otherwise, I'd never have anything. So, thank you, sis. She's a private person and doesn't like her name out there, so I won't mention her name. But thank you, little sis.
Fair enough.
So,
yeah.
She's one of those types.
Do you get to set up in the same spot every year?
No.
No.
Yeah, and I don't get preferential treatment. So no, it's just like everybody. I put in the table requests. I usually indicate that I want to be with Eurobricks. Normally, the other thing that we sometimes do is Eurobricks will put in a request for everybody. We just have to tell them how much space we want. But I'm like, I can never do that because I don't know how much I'm going to need, and I don't want to burden them by, taking too many or too few tables. But that's bit me in the butt too, because a few years ago, I had some tables with Eurobricks, and then I requested some separate tables and said put them by Eurobricks, but it didn't work for the layout. So I had half my stuff on the Eurobricks tables, and the other half was all the way across the hall on another table. And like having two areas was kind of nice to be able to escape, and be by yourself, which is important for us weirdo introverts. But at the same time, it was impossible to be at both, and people are asking you about a build and you're like, oh, I got this other build way across the hall that you should see. Yeah. So no, I'm not always in the same spot, and I don't always bring the same stuff, but I'm almost always with the Eurobricks group. So if you go to Brickworld Chicago, look for Eurobricks, and then you'll probably find me. So that's where I almost always am.
All right. Yeah, since I've only been once, I have no frame of reference. I don't know if it's like wedding planning where it's like, okay, well, these people don't like these people, so we'll separate them, and these ones fit okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of don't like, thankfully, but there's definitely requests to be in a particular area if you have both your own stuff and a collaborative, or you're part of a lug.
Yep.
And so the people who set up the layout do an amazing job of accommodating everything they can. But it's 100,000 square feet in there. It's definitely more densely packed than some of the other shows that have similar square footage. So they do a great job of finding space for everyone. It's a very difficult task, but they've always done a good job with it. So really impressed with that. So yeah, you take where they put you, and you say thank you. And I think there are some people who sometimes have egos who are like, it's bad to be in this corner or that corner. Like, whatever, just you've got a spot. People block the entire hall. Just be happy, So
yeah. Where the foosball game was last year, that corner seemed pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Like past the great ball contraption, kind of out that way.
So they have a competition corner on one side, and then they have the side that's kind of by the food area in the other. They're sometimes a little harder to reach in the very back. But yeah, if you're attending Brickworld, maybe it's kind of like Disneyland. Go to the back first. If you're an attendee, public person who's coming, do the same thing. Those back corners first. There are some gems.
Yep.
Always found with Brickworld is I will come home afterwards and see people's pictures from the show, and there are 5 or 6 things I haven't seen. I've walked the hall 5 times.
Yep.
So, sometimes you're just attracted to something else, or you're your attention gets pulled away, and you can miss, some really cool things. So, yeah,
Yep.
definitely don't sleep on the corners. So,
Yeah. Missing things doesn't make any sense to me because we had nothing to display. We had 5 days to just wander around aimlessly.
yeah,
And I'm still seeing things I had no idea were there.
right. Yeah,
And
it's that kind of show.
yeah, I would have sworn I saw her every table.
Yeah, I walked every table. I did this corner on this day. I checked this corner on that day.
Yeah.
They're still like, and some of them are big things too. Like, how did I miss this giant mural? Like, where was this?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Or you've seen it and it just looks entirely different when it's lit up.
yeah.
It looks like an entirely different build. Or something was, it's powered and wasn't moving before, so it looks different.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't wait for the next one. I understand why you've been to so many.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess maybe I'm partly spoiled because it is such an event. I'd like to go to some of the other ones too. Brick Fair, Virginia, we'll have to see since their space got sold and all that stuff. So now it's going to be an IKEA instead of a convention center.
Oh, no.
Half an IKEA or something.
Oof.
Hopefully they'll be able to sort that back out. I'd love to be able to do brick slopes and brick rodeo and hit everything. But then we're talking flying, and I don't know if I can fly to a show and either bring nothing or just pack something in a suitcase. It just doesn't.
Big change.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like my nature where I can drive to Chicago and just make the big giant stupid thing I built, and throw it down on a table. Yeah, feeling like selective and having to pick something small and flat pack it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably can do it. Just not sure that it's in my nature to do it well. So,
yeah. Being an attendee with no obligations, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm not sure I can get away with that though. So
yeah.
it'd be
Well,
like hey,
maybe not Chicago, maybe a different location.
Oh yeah,
but
I'd probably go to Brick Fair, Virginia, and get away with it. But if I go to Chicago and they're like, "Hey, where are you displayed this year?" And I didn't bring anything, I'd get one of these.
Are you feeling okay?
Are you all right? Yeah. What happened? Did you fall on the hard times? Did your wife leave you?
I had to come by moped.
I had to crawl here. Yeah, I couldn't sell that Halo computer, so I had to crawl here.
Oof.
So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hope it never comes to that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, like we started this conversation at, it's a very expensive hobby. So.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, fulfilling too. It can be, but yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And if you're good at being selective as to what you're buying and when you're buying it, you can always do better. There's definitely resale opportunities if you sell the figures like you've done on things. So it's still not inexpensive. When the cheapest sets now are $20 a piece, you might say, "Yeah, that's not so bad." But if you buy 4 sets, I'll just spend $8.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah. Yeah, $15 for a garbage mech is not awesome.
Yeah, $40 for the bonsai tree, and I don't know how many of those I've bought. 7, 12, I don't know.
Yeah, for parts packs, right?
For parts packs. Yeah. Love that tree. If they ever hit $20 for some reason on clearance, or even 30 straight up right now, I think they're usually 40. Just, take my credit card from me before it gets maxed. So.
Yeah. Time to clear the shelf.
Yeah, time to clear that shelf. Time to clear the garage. I'm going to have boxes in the garage, dear.
Uh-oh.
So.
Build your own forest.
We're going to have to put a shelf up in the garage just to hold my bonsai trees. So.
Oh, man. That's so funny. that made me. Oh. Sorry, I'm having a little brain fart here. So two builds ago, trying to think, the one before the boat.
Yeah.
What color were the leaves on that tree? The
Big,
I think they were.
tallest tree.
I think it was kind of orange.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they were dark orange. Actually, no, they weren't. Hold on. I know where that tree is. Hold on.
Okay.
You get to experience this.
You know, you have a good Lego room where it's a 3-minute walk to get a tree. I love it.
This is not the big tall version, but this is the same
Okay.
same leaf color. So these are the flamish yellow orange
Okay.
leaves, and then they have the little tri leaf piece in that same color, and then there's some dark orange
Okay.
as a secondary. But this is the flamish yellow orange color. So
Man, that looks like a legit tree. That
yeah, it's not bad. The other tree I have is like twice as big as this one, but it shakes a lot when you carry it. So a little cautious about bringing that one in here. I was like, oh, this has got the same leaf color. They're sitting right next to each other.
Yeah.
So
we had trees that color around here up until a couple days ago. Then it rained.
yeah, yeah.
They're all on the ground now.
My lawn definitely needs a raking. But yeah, I like this color palette. This is probably my favorite. Is the fall colors for Lego, but can't make everything in the fall. Maybe you can, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think you probably can.
yeah. They do have nice. They have got dark red and dark orange, and then the slamish yellow orange. And I think they have a lighter orange or lighter yellow color, but I think it's only like the smaller leaf pieces. So
Okay.
I don't know.
The what's that? Bright light yellow? Is that what that one is?
Who knows?
So we had mentioned the difficulty with Lego's naming versus Bricklink. Do you think they're ever going to fix that now that they've done the merger, or do you think it's just a lost cause?
I think part of it's a lost cause. The other thing too is some of the colors for Lego have Danish names.
Oh, okay.
And they don't have a word for, they don't have a color for pink or something like that. So like that's why I don't remember which one it is, but one of the colors, pink or purple, doesn't exist. They like have weird names for them, and that's why.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was pink that they don't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have 7 shades of pink.
Right.
But no pink.
They don't have pink as a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Lego will try to convert Bricklink. That'll be the torturous part.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to think of dark green. I'm like, this is green. Like the primary colors, blue, yellow, red, green. They don't need another name. They're just those colors.
Yeah.
And they go from there, right?
I can't even imagine how horrible that would make my life for a little while.
Trying to convert everything and remember.
Oh my God. Yeah, my Bricklink store is not even very big. We're at, I don't know, 100, 110,000 parts or something. And what happens to the big guys? You know, 16 million parts for, was it Brick Vibe? I think he's got 16 million or something.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's nearly catastrophic.
Yeah, the color pink does not exist in here. So, yeah, I don't know.
Damn it, Lego. Yes, it does. It's right there.
Yeah. It's like, I can see it. But yeah, the colors are black, blue, brown, green, gray, lilac, metallic, multi-combination, orange, purple, red, white, and yellow.
Wow.
And coral is a color. in the red space, but that's not dark pink or what we would call dark pink.
What do they call the grays? It's light stone gray or something.
Light stone gray, yeah. Ridiculous color name. Yeah, then dark pink has some stupid name. They're all just terrible.
Yeah.
Earth green, I think it's dark green, and then dark green is regular green. So yeah, it's nearly impossible to keep up with them. Right,
Earth green.
Pick a pink part just to see what it's called. Let's see here. It'll cost me $7.08 to order one left plate wedge. What color is it? Oh, here it is. Light purple.
Wait, what?
Light purple. It's pink, but it's light purple. That's the official Lego color. So yeah, light purple. They have magenta and light purple. The dark purple color is bright reddish violet.
Bright reddish violet?
Yeah.
That's an odd combination of words.
Uh-huh. Bright purple. And then the pink one is light purple. Yeah. Light purple.
All right. So it's just a translation problem, it sounds like.
Yeah. I can imagine having to deal with that. Having no more pinks. Having to deal with bright purple and light purple is actually pink. So
yeah. They need to chill out. They need to dial back some of these wonky pieces too. My wife walked in the room yesterday and holding up a 1x5 plate. She's like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
This is the thing now?
Yeah. It's the only one in the house. I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but that is now a thing.
Yeah. The other thing they changed, they renamed all of the old trans brown or trans black. Now it's trans brown because they introduced a darker color that's trans black. And so they renamed everything in your Bricklink store that used to be trans black is probably now trans brown.
Yeah, it actually says old trans. Yeah.
So it's so weird that they had to do
that.
that.
I don't think I've seen the new trans black. Is it like really dark?
It's a little darker for sure. I know I have some around here, but I don't have one offhand. But like if you look at the colors from the most recent City Space line, those windscreens are the new trans black, and then the ones that used to be trans black are now trans brown. So
so it's almost like the difference between trans light blue and trans medium blue.
And kind of.
You get a little bit more of that, the density of the color.
Yeah, I think you can tell. I think I could tell between the two fairly easily. But it's, if you just showed me one, just flashed it up on the screen, is this trans brown or trans black? I probably wouldn't know. If they're next to each other, though, you can definitely tell them apart.
Okay. All right. I mean, I probably have a year or two before they start showing up in bulk lots, so I don't have to worry about it yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of a weird thing. So.
Yeah, we got a lot of surprises coming down the line. I don't know how we're going to find the space to put them, but it'll be all right. Yeah. I don't know how we had the space to put any of this.
Yeah, I'm out of space already. So everything new just goes into a bin to get displayed, and then I got to take it apart.
Yeah. So you have the same issue I have right now. It's like, you're not out of space. Look at the empty drawer holes behind you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the drawers, which are probably full of something laying around somewhere.
Yeah, they're right here. Like I know they are.
Yeah.
They're not empty. They're right here.
Yeah.
They got stuff in them. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep looking and hoping. It's like I have no more room for expansion at this point. It's like, come on, there's got to be, a couple cubic feet of space around here somewhere I can jam another acro unit.
Yeah. Nope. I and I only have 10, and then I've got plenty of larger bins.
Yep.
But they're this size. So got lots of this.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have a whole bunch of shelves where you can actually display things.
I do have some of that at least. So
Yeah, I got
not
the
all
opposite
stacked
problem.
up on top like you are up there. But
Yeah, that's all I have for space. I have whatever I got, 7 more columns that are all covered. That's all the display space I have.
Yeah.
My kid's got her shelves to display her things, but which is the important part, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's still a toy, and we have children, so let them display.
Yeah, I guess it's to some extent. I'm probably, glad that my kids aren't super into it and stealing my pieces. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I'd like them to, not acknowledge that dad has a hobby once a year like they do now. So I don't know.
Yeah. The upside is because, well, one of my kids is too young. She's still Duplo age. And my oldest, who likes to build, just likes to build at the moment. No interest in anything that's not a set. So this is the extent of her loose Lego. She has her own, so it stays separated, which is nice.
My kids kind of have that too. My daughter does have a couple bins that are full of friends' parts, and my son has some too. But I feel like we're to the point where I could probably just integrate his stuff into my collection. It wouldn't matter. He hasn't actually played with them in 3 years or something.
If he feels inspired, you could say, all right, well, I guess you could pick something from the backlog.
Yeah. Well, he does like to do that. Sometimes he'll get into the mood to build, and he's like the complete opposite of me. What he wants to build are cars, just cars, and cars. And I'm like,
really?
I have cars like Speed Champions because they come out with new molds for curves and that kind of stuff in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care about the cars, and that's what he loves. So
okay,
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. He's very different from me. Same, kind of like Mark. Very different, and yet there are a few things where we're exactly the same. So
keeps it interesting.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, Mark is a character. He has me dying every week.
Yeah, me too. You should see our text chains. They're ridiculous.
Yeah. How's his response time?
Depends. Sometimes it's rapid fire and we're both going. Other times it's 2-3 hours later. So
Well, 2 or 3 hours isn't bad. That's just life being busy, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had to wait like a whole day.
Okay.
So he usually gets back to me pretty fast. But
he seems like he gets very involved in things when he's involved.
He can get excited. He's excitable.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I've never used that to my advantage.
I appreciate his energy and enthusiasm. It's fun.
It's a polite way to say that.
Yeah. I wish I could have that level of spunk at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Although when that friggin' what the hell is his name? Doesn't matter what his name is because he kind of sucked. ACOB brought him on where he was talking shit about Brickworld there.
Oh yes, yep.
I was surprised you had more fire there than Mark did.
Yeah,
that surprised me.
I think he's trying to. He's doing the responsible thing of sidestepping that and just being like, I'm running a business, and people are demanding transparency. I'm like, you can't demand transparency. You can decide not to go. You can say it's no longer worth it to you. But I thought the biggest issue with all of that was there was assumptions, lots of assumptions being made about what it costs to produce the event. And oh, this space is similar in size, so the prices should be the same. And oh, I have derived value from whether or not I get a meal at the show. Like, it's just, they're different. They're different things. They're in different locations. They're attached to different properties. And yeah, I thought it was getting a little silly. But at the same time, if you don't want to go, if it's not worth it, if you can't afford it, then don't go,
Yeah.
But yeah, we demand transparency. I'm like, what? So yeah, I was a little saltier, but I was still trying to rein it in to the extent I could. I don't get into a lot of comment wars, but I engaged in that.
Yep. Yeah, you were pretty feisty.
That was a little feisty. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, it's Brickworld, the publicly traded company, apparently.
Right. That was exactly it. I'm like, you don't own stock in this. You're not paying taxes. Just dug up. Free hot dogs, as Papa Rex. Yeah. That's what they wanted. I was just like, for some people, the value they drive is in the stuff they get. For other people, it's not.
Yeah.
But regardless, oh, the swag bag's better here, the whatever's better there. Well, talk about the atmosphere, the event space, whatever else you want to as well. But all that was kind of ignored in favor of this place is $30 cheaper and you get a better goodie bag. Well, then go there.
Yeah.
It's also one day less and it's not in the same event space.
So many of us were like drooling, waiting to click the button to buy tickets 8 months in advance.
Yeah.
And would have been happy to pay more. Right. Like I don't see what the issue is.
To go to it. Like, we're not going to pretend it's not. Mark's not going to pretend it's not. But
well, it's not. Well, so travel is expensive,
right? There are
traveling anywhere is expensive. The ticket itself is cheap.
It's not that bad. Yeah, I guess I should clarify. Yeah, it's an expensive weekend to travel and stay there. The price to get into the show is not that expensive, and for the amount of time and entertainment and programming and everything else you're going to get, it's dirt cheap. But if you want to stay at the hotel, if you have to fly there, if you have to drive there, if you want food, it's expensive. I mean, that's not, but going on vacation anywhere is expensive. So,
yeah. Go to Disney for 2 days.
Yeah.
Right.
2 days. Go there for 1 day.
Yep.
That's go to Brickworld twice for that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so I figure you take all of the travel expenses right off the table because you're paying those no matter where you go.
Well, then that's not that bad. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We're paying for 2 tickets what I would have happily paid for 1 because I think it's worth it.
Well, on the public price to get in's inexpensive, comparatively speaking, too, for the amount of entertainment you can get for the family.
Yeah.
So, I've never had concerns about the price, and I was, just kind of flummoxed that was a thing. But, whatever.
Papa Rex. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
There you go.
That's it, man.
Shut
her down.
Jones. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I still get my tickets. So that's a true story. I don't have them yet.
That's wild.
I think someone's expecting me to be there though, so I still have to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think just about everybody that left last year was had it in their head like, okay, well, the following year is mandatory.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard anyone say otherwise.
Yeah, like I said, I tried to have a kid in a different month just to avoid missing a year, but it didn't work for me. So, and I'll tell you what, my kid's way more expensive than Brickworld. So,
yeah,
don't forget that.
Yeah, it's funny how kids work like that.
Yeah.
So, talk about inconvenient kid timing. the last time Led Zeppelin ever played in Boston, my dad had tickets and couldn't go because my mom had me.
Oh.
Yep.
I give my youngest crap because she was born on Valentine's Day. My wife she was born. She came
Oh man.
days early. She was set to be born on Leap Day, but she was born on Valentine's Day instead, which of course, she loves now that she's the Valentine's baby. But every time we talk about her birthday, my son always brings up, "You made him miss Deadpool," and I always say, "Well, you made me miss Brickworld for 2 years, so it's okay."
Yep.
So,
Yeah, Deadpool you can at least watch on TV.
yeah,
Can't relive Brickworld.
No, it's not the same. It really isn't.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny that Deadpool came out Valentine's Day. I forgot about that. My wife and I went
Oh,
for
there you
that.
go.
Yeah, completely forgot about that.
I was at the hospital, so that's where I was. So
Wow, that was, man. It's hard to believe it was that long ago.
2016.
Yep.
So
Wait, 2016. Oh, that's when my oldest was born too. Different end of the year.
yeah, 2016 may have been Deadpool 2. I want to say it was the first one. So look it up now.
If that was February. No, I think that would have been the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, February 12th, 2016 is when it came out. And she was born February 14th, 2016. So pretty funny. The second one was May 18th, 2018. So yeah, 2 years later and in May.
I don't think I've even seen the second one.
It's not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
It's still okay. But
I feel like that's one of those things where if you saw the first one, you kind of already know what you're going to see in the second one.
true. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still have to do it at some point. All right. Well, we've reached midnight, and I think this is where I'm going to turn into a shoe or pumpkin or whatever it is that you do.
Whatever the statement is. Yeah.
Yep.
Mark's probably starting his Animal Crossing stream, which I sometimes attend. So
Okay.
I might head over there. But it was
Excellent.
a fun time over here.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out. This was great. It was awesome learning about a whole bunch of your backstory we don't usually hear mixed into the conversation. So it was great. And learn some stuff. That's good.
Yeah, if you ever have a ZCerberus appropriate topic, you let me know, and I'll come back if I can make it. So.
All right. That sounds fantastic. All right. Well, everybody in chat, thank you guys for hanging out as always. Next week is November. The Superhawks are going to be here with us.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Big Brickworld people.
Yep.
So,
yep. That'll be great. And it's November's filling up pretty good. We'll have them. We got Crystal Star, and then Digging for Bricks is our third guest of the month.
All right.
He's a new find in my world. Maybe everybody else is aware of him, but he's a pretty good mock builder. Awesome. TikTok guy. But all right, everyone, thank you again. Ben, thank you so much. Everyone have a great night. And we will see you later. Ben, I will see you in chat on Sunday.
For sure. Well,
you may also be in chat with me at that point. Yeah. All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.